Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Welcome, everyone, for the second time ever. It's a two-man edition of the Ultimate
Second
Cleveland
time?
Sports Show.
Is it second time ever?
Apparently, Jay
and I did a two-man.
You and Jay, right?
Yeah.
That was the first time ever. This is now the second time ever.
It's so intimate.
Man, I got
feel like we
shorts
need
on. I look terrible.
We need like a candlelight dinner here.
I know. It's like the old radio days.
Yeah, it kinda is.
Fill in for Dustin.
Yeah.
That's what it's like, except it's 2 hours instead of 5. Can we get tightened up a little bit there, Steve? I mean, this is a terrible look. I always look terrible in shorts.
Then don't wear them. You're the one who wore them.
I actually kind of like that shot. I'm not going to lie, Bull.
Yeah, not bad.
It actually looks pretty good, yeah. The framing looks good. Steve did a good job.
Yeah, I look better. I'm okay in shorts standing, but sitting, it's not a great look.
Oh,
but
does anyone look
I'm like,
good
Jay,
sitting?
And we had kind of decided no shorts on the show, but Tyvis and Earl wear shorts pretty much every time they're on the show, so I'm like...
There's supposed to be a no-hat rule. There's supposed to be a no shorts
Yeah.
rule, and Tyvis and Garrett break every rule.
I know, so I was kind of dressed this way already, and I'm like, I got to coach a game later. I didn't feel like changing, so...
Fall ball?
I did the rare shorts. Yeah,
You
we got rained out yesterday, so we got makeup games today and tomorrow.
All right.
Hopefully the field will be okay. Anyway, a lot to get to today. This left tackle situation is getting ugly.
Oh, boy.
The preseason game, did we learn anything? The Guardians had an awful weekend. It wasn't a great weekend for Cleveland sports.
The Cavs made a signing. It's a
The
great
Cavs
weekend
signed
for
a
the
random
Cavs.
dude
Yeah.
that apparently Mike's excited about. So that's all coming up. I do want to start real quick with this. I just saw, right before we went on the air, that Colt McCoy officially retired. Did you see this?
No, I didn't.
I did, and he
Yeah.
got a broadcasting gig.
Oh, I didn't see that part. Who's he doing games for?
He has not announced where, but Peter Schrager said he didn't want to spoil it. He wants Colt to have his moment.
Okay.
So he's going to let Colt announce, but he had already signed a deal, a lucrative, according to Peter Schrager, broadcasting deal with a major network.
Don't they have that Longhorn network? Like, he'd be perfect for that.
Yeah, he seems like a college guy.
Just go to the Longhorn network
Yeah,
and
yeah,
do
exactly.
Texas
Or
sports.
something
and
college.
He's loved down there. And
Yeah, no doubt. And it really, for me, it was funny because if you were on Twitter yesterday, I tweeted out that yesterday was my 13th anniversary as a
saw that.
Clevelander.
I liked it. I give you a like.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And the reason it kind of connects with Colt McCoy is because he was the Browns starting quarterback my first year covering the Browns in 2011, which is when I moved here. And I remember going on the air in the beginning, and I was super enthusiastic about Colt McCoy. I was like almost to the point of being inappropriately too positive. I'm accused of being negative sometimes, but I was like, I was too optimistic about Colt McCoy.
Yeah.
But he did turn into a heck of a career backup.
He did. I covered that Texas-Ohio State game.
Yeah.
And I got to know him. I talked to him, spent that week with him leading up to the bowl game, and I liked him. Like, I liked when the Browns picked him. I thought,
Yeah.
And maybe, he proved to be a good NFL quarterback, a solid NFL quarterback. Certainly not worthy of a starter, but, made a lot of money for himself.
Yeah. And he was
good career for
his
himself.
quality as a backup, and man, he took that brute. Was it James Harrison? Remember that hit he took? He just got destroyed. I mean, I think that hit was one of the things that led to the concussion protocol.
Yeah.
Was that James Harrison? I can't
And then
remember
he played,
now who
and
it was.
then he stayed in the game. Right?
Nobody even came to his defense. I mean, that Browns team was pathetic, but
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
let's see how good your memory is, because that was your first year in
2011,
Cleveland, right?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
What was it, 2010 draft?
Right. Well, I wasn't here for the 2010 draft.
But 2011 was your first year, so he was the guy to buy into.
You mean the 2011 draft?
Colt McCoy was drafted in 2010.
Right, but when I came here in 2011,
I know.
he was the starting quarterback.
I'm
that
testing
year.
your memory here.
Go ahead.
He was the fourth quarterback taken in the 2010 draft.
Oh.
Can you name the three quarterbacks taken before him? And this is a testament
That
to
has
Colt.
nothing to do with Cleveland.
You'll see.
Okay.
It doesn't have to do anything with Cleveland. More just the longevity of Colt McCoy and appreciating what a great backup career he had. 14 years is incredible.
Was Christian Ponder that year? I don't even remember.
Was Vince Young, or was he before that?
No, Vince Young was pre.
Oh, yeah, obviously Texas.
Yeah,
idiot.
right. Man,
Are you ready for this?
Sam Bradford?
Yes, was the number 1 overall pick in that draft.
Okay.
There's 2 more quarterbacks.
He was the last
massive contract.
First round pick where there was no limits.
The
Name
kid,
the other 2.
The kid from Washington?
Nope, that's Jake Locker. Not the right guy.
I give up.
So Sam Bradford. Who else was drafted that year?
Tim Tebow.
Oh, God.
And Jimmy Clausen.
Oh, they
Jimmy
were all
Clausen.
terrible. Didn't Chris Fedor love
Fedor
Jimmy
loved
Clausen?
Clausen.
He loved them.
Yeah.
I don't
loved
think
him.
those 3 played a combined 14 years in the NFL. And Colt
No,
lasted
definitely
14 years.
Colt
by
was
himself.
way better. Those guys were all awful.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I'm
that's
just
not
saying,
fair.
a
Sam
testament,
Bradford was a
yeah.
decent player for a couple of years. He just got injured.
Yeah.
And that ruined his career. Tim Tebow was maybe the worst quarterback I've ever seen.
No, Jamarcus Russell's the worst quarterback.
Yeah, I guess. And Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel. Yeah.
Jimmy Clausen, I don't know how much he played, but that's funny. Man, it seems forever ago. It's not that long, I guess.
It's
lots
a
changed since
lifetime.
then.
I know. I got to tell you before we get into it, I got to tell you about last week. So everyone knows that the tree fell on my house, right? We had the big tornado, tree falls on my house. We're without power for like 4 or 5 days. Finally get power back. Okay, well, we're supposed to go to Chicago last week. It took some time off. We were going to take my in-laws and the family. We were going to catch a Cubs game, a White Sox game. My father-in-law grew up in New Jersey, huge Yankees fan.
Yeah.
So we were going to catch the Yankees and White Sox.
Right.
White Sox said, yes, here's the tickets. Please come.
Yeah.
We had free tickets to the Sox game.
I'm guessing you didn't get free tickets to Wrigley.
We did not. We tried.
Yeah,
we tried.
yeah.
They said we'd be happy to sell them to you.
Yeah, right.
Like, how generous of you. So last week, the day we were supposed to leave, my son's car's in the shop. He's borrowing my father-in-law's car.
Yeah.
Old lady pulls out in front of him, totals my father-in-law's car.
Oh, my God.
So we have a tree on the house. We have no power. And now my son, my oldest, has totaled my father-in-law's car. And he calls me and he's like, I wrecked the car. You're going to kill me. And I'm like, yeah, I am.
Oh, God.
and my wife was like, I'm going to kill him. And I said, like, he was on the east side. It's like, let me go get him. It was an hour drive from where I was.
Oh, my gosh.
And he said it wasn't his fault, but I'm like, he's 22. Nothing's ever his fault. He didn't think anything's his fault. I'm sure it was his fault. I know it was his fault. Call my father-in-law. I'm like, I'm so sorry. He goes, it's like, don't kill him. Like, it's okay as long as he's okay.
Yeah.
So I drive out there, and by the time I get out there, he tells me they cited the other woman. It really wasn't his fault.
Wow.
I was like, all right.
That is a rarity.
Now we're in
Usually
business.
a 20-year-old, 22-year-old driver, it's their fault.
It's always their fault.
Yes,
so she pulled out in front of him. He totaled the car, and he'd been complaining for years about back pain.
Yeah.
And I always said that he didn't have very high pain tolerance, and I'm like, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. So he goes to the chiropractor, who's actually a neighbor of mine.
Yeah.
And the chiropractor x-rays his back, and he says, you have a fracture in your L5. You have an L5 fracture.
Jeez.
And I joked, I don't know who was more excited, my son, who felt vindicated that he had this back injury, or the chiropractor who's going to get a new boat now.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
So
is the old woman gonna pay for the medical bills?
Her insurance company's about to take a beating.
Yeah, that's right.
But
he's all right though.
He's all right. He's got the fracture in his back. His thumb's messed up and swollen.
Jeez.
We canceled the Chicago trip.
That stinks.
I just stayed home and got a bunch of stuff done around the house.
All right.
But it's been the last
Stay
couple
away
of
from
weeks.
Jason. You seem to be a disaster magnet right now.
Oh, even more so than usual.
Yeah.
So the last couple of weeks, man, we've been in it. So.
All right. Well, hopefully no more natural disasters coming our way, and hopefully no more car accidents either. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, we are going to start today's show with injuries. So, Jason, I guess that is typically a good transition. And, guys, we have a new FanDuel read, so get ready. The sports
Are the sports still sporting?
No, they're not.
But not because FanDuel tells us they are.
No.
Instead, you heard us talk about FanDuel before. It is America's #1 sportsbook, and right now, if you want to bet on the Seattle Seahawks, Cleveland Browns preseason game this week, the Browns, 1.5-point underdogs. You get the juice with the Browns if you want to place a little wager on the Browns. But we have a little something different for you guys coming up. Now, today, through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then with the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook. I wonder if FanDuel could put up wagers or odds so people could bet on who the Browns' starting left tackle will be in Week 1 because it's certainly up in the air. According to Kevin Stefanski, who spoke with the media following their game against Minnesota on Sunday, let us know that Jed Wills is still on the PUP list and not practicing. Jack Conklin has yet to practice. James Hudson is out for a while with an ankle injury. Akeem Adeniji out for a while with a knee injury. And Germaine Ifedi, who hurt his hand in the game, is listed as day-to-day, but should be able to at least practice this week.
So Ifedi's probably going to be the starter at left tackle. He is
against Seattle.
He is a veteran.
Yes.
He played for Seattle. He got drafted in the first round by Seattle 8 years ago.
With Tyvus. Same draft class.
With Ty, it was the same. Now, he has not been a starter. He hasn't started a game in, I believe, 3 years. He didn't play last year. I don't know if he was hurt or he just didn't play. In fact, I don't think he's played since the middle of the 22 season. No. He played the full 22 season, but he was a backup. He didn't start a game. And he's your sixth tackle because you have the top three guys we know, and their swing tackles, Hudson, he's hurt. You mentioned.
I think Hudson will be back, though, won't he?
But I don't think for this week.
I don't care about this week.
He said not this week, but he could be back.
Well, but he stinks, too. I mean, it's not like he's
any
good.
I know.
Yeah. The problem is you've committed to playing Deshaun Watson in this game.
Yeah.
They said even with all these injuries, they're going to play him in this game. Now, I don't know how much he's going to play, but the guy hasn't been on the field in a long time. So they want him to play this week, but you have the Drek of the Drek at left tackles. I mean, you're either starting Hudson, who stinks, Ifedi, who's a bust and is in his 30s and hasn't played much for 2 years. I mean, I think they should be out on the free agent market. Mike and I were talking about this. Did you want me to hold on this?
Yeah, we'll get to the free agents in a sec, but just the current situation.
They should be out on the market. Listen, we talked last week, I can't remember what day it was or whatever, about the fact that
it was Friday.
It
concerns
was Friday?
About the offense and just
right,
in general.
In general, I have some concerns about this offense. I'm concerned about every part of this offense right now. But this is a glaring, like my shirt, although it doesn't look red on the TV. It looks more like, I don't know what color.
No, it looks very red, trust me.
It does? On this screen, it doesn't look as red to me. But anyway, it's a shining red light what's going on at left tackle. This is a major problem right now. Doesn't mean whoever they might use, week 1, he might play great. Deshaun Watson could throw for 300 yards. Who the hell knows?
Yeah.
But it's hard to be confident in any aspect of the offense right now. But left tackle is a massive concern at the moment.
Zach called it a crisis after the Vikings game.
Yeah.
I think that's fair. That's not overreaction. I think that's fair.
Yeah.
Mike said, on a scale of 1 to 10, what's your concern? 9.5, 9 3/4.
At left tackle?
Yeah. Well, yeah. The only reason it's not a 12 or 13 is because we're still a couple weeks out from Dallas, and
right.
20
days.
So I mean, yes, you got to muddle through and get through the Seattle game, and obviously you don't want to get your starting quarterback killed. But I think they're going to be very vanilla when he's out there, and it's just going to be quick and short, get it out quick. But the only reason it's not higher than a 9.5 is because we still have a couple more weeks.
Yeah.
But this Jed Wills thing it's weird.
What is happening?
Weird. Nobody know. Like, we are 8 to 9 months removed now from something that should have been at most probably maybe 6 months.
So
no one is saying anything.
There was no talk at all in the offseason about Jed Wills not being ready for camp, let alone maybe not being ready for the start of the season.
Yeah.
And Jason, if they're ruling it, when Kevin Stefanski spoke, was it Saturday after the game or did he speak Sunday? I can't remember now.
He did both.
Okay. When he spoke over the weekend, I can't remember which press conference he said this.
You're referencing the Sunday. I know what he.
Okay, so on Sunday he completely ruled out Jed for this week.
Yeah.
He's not practicing this week. He said he will not practice this week.
So he's not going to play.
Well, that's my point, but I'm saying he's not even practicing.
So if Jed Wills is in a position where I've got to rule him out a week early, how can I think he's going to be ready for week 1?
Yeah.
And what happened? There was none of this. We talked about a lot of guys coming back from injury this offseason. We never had a conversation about Jed Wills being ready for week 1.
He was scoped in December. It's August.
Yeah.
Like this something has happened along the way. And at first, like, I didn't really pay much attention to it when he's missing spring
the beginning
and
of
summer.
camp. You're like,
and
whatever.
It's like, whatever. Like, Jed didn't like to practice when he's healthy.
Yeah.
I'm not surprised. And I'm being sarcastic, but I'm really not. Like,
yeah.
Jason, real quick, I told Bull this yesterday. I heard from someone who usually knows pretty well the Browns are frustrated with Will's effort to get back on the field. And I'm not sure if that lines up with stuff you've heard or whatnot.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's true. I'm just saying I heard that rumor.
Have you heard anything of that nature?
I'm not going to say that they're frustrated with his effort to get back on the field, but I think there's major concern just in general about the offensive line.
It's weird because Kevin Stefanski said he's working real hard to get back.
Oh, they all say that. He says that about everybody.
I don't know. I was almost like, is he sending a message between the lines?
He's protecting
he doesn't send
his guys.
messages. Fair enough. Okay.
But it's just weird. Something, either there is a setback along the way, or he's not trying. Something is wrong. It should not take this long. And again, like you think, okay, no veterans like training camp, so maybe he's just delaying this.
Right, but he ain't Bitonio. I mean,
no, but I'm just saying, guys will come back toward the end.
Sure.
But we're at the end.
Yeah.
Like, it's time to go.
And even if you're doing that, you got to play the game that Deshaun Watson plays.
Yeah.
If that's what you're doing here.
Yeah. And like we saw him at the Greenbrier, and he wasn't moving well. But again, you don't read much into it,
right?
Because it's Jed. He never moves well. He never looks like he's enjoying himself or having fun. He always looks like he's miserable on the field. But we are at the point now where this is a major, major concern. Like, it's time to break the glass. If we're having this conversation, if another week goes by and he's still not out there, this is a huge problem.
Yeah, I mean, they don't, Conklin, I guess in theory, could have played left tackle, but he's not healthy. Like, what's his status? He hasn't practiced at all yet either.
No, he's coming off a much more significant
But
thing.
it's been 12 months or 11 months for him.
Yeah. It was week one.
It was right at the
week
beginning
one.
of the season. So
week one or week two.
I mean, we're a couple of weeks shy of it being a full year.
Yeah.
Obviously, Adeniji has started for the Bengals a little bit. He's bounced around, but he's not very good. He's hurt. We know James Hudson stinks. I mean,
Hudson's their best bet right now,
and he's terrible.
But that's their best bet.
About Hudson, real quick, the fact that he was, I don't think he's. I'm trying to phrase this right. The fact he played as much as he did against Minnesota, and the plan was to play as much as they did, even after the joint practices where Stefanski were not playing starters.
Yeah.
I don't think his status is as locked in as you guys may be making it seem as the swing tackle.
Well, I mean, they got so many injuries, he's definitely going to make the team. But I get what you're saying. Like, they obviously don't think that highly of him if he's playing in that game when all the other starters are not playing. I know he needs the reps, but
I think he needs the reps. Don't everybody else?
Listen, if Jed Wills is not ready to go week one, this is a major problem.
Yeah.
And it's a problem they have to address. I'm surprised we didn't hear about them working out tackles yesterday.
Well, I do, like, if we get to the end of, like, I don't know that there's, I mean, think about it. Rosters are 90 right now, right?
Right.
So you're picking from the worst of the really bad.
But there's a couple of free agent tackles. Now, I don't know what kind of shape they're in.
But the reason, if they're, like, I saw Mike's list and, like,
yeah,
I can never pronounce his name, from Green Bay.
Bakhtiari.
We'll get to him in 1 second, but you can make this point.
If he could stand up, he would be in a camp somewhere. Somebody would have him in a camp.
Maybe he wants to wait till the last second. You're probably right. But it's desperation time.
I think
at least they're proven pros.
But I think you have better odds right now of waiting for cuts.
Yeah.
And waiting for either making a trade toward the end when a team is up against it numbers wise, or waiting for a team to make a cut and then going and picking somebody up. Rather than picking somebody off the street who's not even in the top 90 right now across 30 teams.
Go ahead, Mike.
Let me ask you guys this then, and we'll talk about the free agent options in 1 sec. But if you look at the current roster, are you guys giving DeJuan Jones reps at left tackle this week? Is Bitonio still athletic enough to slide out to left tackle if the Browns needed him to do so you could play one of your other guards who may have a little less of a drop-off from the start to bottom? Like, look at the guys currently on the roster.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Bitonio,
the best answer might be Bitonio.
I don't know if Bitonio, and I don't know this. I'm guessing. I don't know if he loves the idea of
he probably hates it.
Tackle. Yeah, I don't know that.
But he's a team guy.
But they might not have a better option.
Yeah, DeJuan to left tackle has never really been a thing. I think that he had so much to learn at right that they want to just leave that alone.
No.
And I don't know that you really want to put that on him to make that.
I think if it's a 1 week thing, let's say they think Jed Wills can be back week 2. I don't think it's a terrible idea to play Bitonio at left tackle for 1 week, even though he wouldn't like it. I think he can handle it for 1 week. I don't know. Listen, there's no good answer. The free agent, I get what you're saying. There's good names on there. There's interesting names. But why are they not in camp?
Because,
anybody getting cut, I mean, how good can they be?
but it's better than guys who aren't even in camp. There is no great answer.
No, yeah.
There is no great solution.
Let's look at the free agent list, Mike.
We'll get to. Let me do a read real quick.
All right, give it a read.
But we'll talk about the free agents because it may be their best bet to find some help at left tackle. And we're going to bring you this list of free agents. Is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some big-time wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Steve, if you could pull up 219 when you get a sec, but the list of free agent tackles right now, to Jason's point, is
by the way, before you bring it up, Mike, apparently Colt McCoy is joining NBC for their Big Ten coverage.
There you go, Colt McCoy to NBC. 219, Steve. One more. One down. But the list of free agent tackles available right now, they all have their flaws. They're either older, but these are the 5 best available free agent tackles. You have David Bakhtiari, Donovan Smith, DJ Humphries, Charles Leno, and Dwayne Brown, who last played for a few different teams, including the Jets, the Seahawks, and the Texans.
Now these guys are all. David Bakhtiari was like a Pro Bowler.
Pro Bowler.
The rest of these
5-time All-Pro.
Right. The rest of these guys have all been starters, decent players. Jason's right. There's probably a reason why none of them are signed right now. Now, is it possible that 1 or 2 of those 5 guys are working out and waiting for a call, and maybe they're in good shape? There's no harm in bringing them in for a look.
I'm sure that, if Bakhtiari had 2 healthy knees, I'm sure he'd be in Berea.
Bakhtiari, Humphreys in particular, those guys have been hurt a lot in recent years.
Yeah. And Bakhtiari's only like 32. I was going to say 31, 32.
Which is
32. Turns 33 in September.
Yeah, that's not that old for an offensive lineman.
No.
All of these guys are better than what they have, or they've been better. How good they are right now, we have no idea. But if I'm the Browns, even if they're all useless and I can't play any of them right now, what's the harm in bringing them all in for a look? Because you're in a desperation situation. I'm bringing them all in. Let's see what they look like. Can any of them play? Because every guy on that list is better than James Hudson, or was better than James Hudson and anybody else you use.
Yeah.
So, and maybe they can't. Maybe they bring them all in and none of them are ready to go. No harm, no foul. But, it's hard to trade for an offensive lineman, but it's been done. A couple of years ago, the Bengals and Giants made a trade about a week before the start of the season.
Billy Price for B.J. Hill, right?
That's right. Turned out to be a good trade for the Bengals, who got the D lineman. But offensive linemen will get traded. Obviously you're not getting a true starting left tackle this time of year.
No.
But maybe you can get a guy who's a decent backup left tackle on a team that may be very deep on the offensive line. It's unlikely, but
the Browns' cheat code for years was just get him in and let Bill Callahan coach him up.
Right.
That's gone. That's gone.
That's
now.
out the window. I'm shaking my head at my son because I know what he's doing right now. What are you doing? Anyway, so it's a 5-alarm fire situation. The Browns have to consider all options at this point, whether it's trade, cut down, guys that are still free agents right now. They're behind the 8 ball. And by the way, at tight end, in terms of, this is not nearly as important, but they have 3 guys battling for that 3rd tight end spot, and 2 of the 3 are hurt.
Yeah.
So they're very thin at tight end also. Now, it's the 3rd tight end, not anywhere close to as important as the starting left tackle. But the left tackle, especially when you're playing the Dallas Cowboys, who have a good pass rush in week 1, I'm worried that Deshaun Watson is going to take some big hits in that game.
Hey, Bo, it's not just the Cowboys in week 1. They play Josh Hines-Allen in week 2 and Trevon Walker.
Love saying the Hines now.
You have to. It's what he wants. The Giants just traded for Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence.
Yeah.
Good pass rush week 3. The Raiders, Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, week 4.
I'm not as worried. Those guys are good. You're right. mean, the Giants.
I'm just saying it's not like it's nothing.
No, I hear you, but the Cowboys are a good team. See, but I'm not as worried about the Giants or the Raiders because I think those teams will have a hard time scoring against the Browns, and so the Browns won't have to become one-dimensional. But it's possible that the Cowboys could get up on the Browns, and then if you become one-dimensional and you don't have a left tackle, then you're really screwed.
I'm just pointing out the pass rush is not necessary. If it gets Mike is the top of the line, but
I hear what you're saying. I'm
cupcakes after that.
I mean, shouldn't Jedrick Wills be back by weeks 2, 3? I mean, what is happening?
He should have been back weeks
What
ago.
is happening? We need some answers.
It's crazy.
Somebody's got to get to the bottom of this.
Of those 5 guys we had up there, Bull, Bakhtiari, Smith, Humphreys, Charles Leonard, Dwayne Brown. I know you said you'd call them all.
I would call them all, but Bakhtiari's the best.
Bakhtiari's by far the best. I was just looking on his Wikipedia. He had knee surgery to end his season last year.
When was that?
That was week 6.
He's played in maybe 15, 16 games in the last 3 years.
But you only need him for a couple of weeks, maybe.
Yeah, I know. Well, I don't know.
He played 11 games in 22.
Okay.
He played 1 game in 21 and 1 game in 23. So 13 games the last 3 years.
Yeah. But if he had the surgery, when did he have the surgery?
According to the video
that
the Green Bay Packers posted, they posted it in week 6 about him talking about his surgery.
All right, so we're talking
October.
11 months, 10, 11
October.
months. I mean, I don't know. I get the guy's injury prone, but I'll take him if I can get him for a week or two. Better than nothing. Sign 2 of these guys. I don't know if they can play, or pick up a guy once it's cut down day. We're not that far away from cut down day.
I think that's the most realistic option.
Yeah, probably.
Is wait for cuts. I mean, it's pitiful. You're picking from the leftovers.
Yeah.
But there is no great solution to this problem right now.
Man. Yeah, I don't know. Do you think if you had to bet now, Jed Wills week 1, are you betting against him playing?
Yeah. I don't know how you can bet on him right now.
You can't, I don't think.
I mean, we're how far out? What are we? 3 weeks?
20 days.
Yeah, 20 days.
I mean, give me another week. If he's not practicing next week, I don't know how you can count on him.
Yeah. No, you can't. You definitely can't. All right, Mike.
One last thing on the tackle situation, and then we'll move on. Obviously, Bill Callahan not being here makes a difference. How much?
Probably.
We'll find out.
We'll find out, yeah.
But do you think, and we don't know an answer, I'm just asking you guys to speculate. There's no right or wrong answer here. Guys like Hudson and Ifedi and Adeniji and whoever else in that category they bring in, the play would have dropped off. Like you would have felt how much better about the situation if Callahan's still here versus how you feel now.
I don't know. I mean,
you've tried to downplay a couple times his importance. I think it's yeah. Oh my God, we were in a knockdown dragout.
We were
over you overblowing. It's not that big of a deal, right? Am I crazy? You remember that?
No, I do remember that.
I just think I don't think coaches turn a scrub into a good player. I think a great coach can take a guy up a notch, but not 4 notches. That's all I'm saying.
They got respectable tackle play last year,
right,
out of guys who had no business being on the field.
Fair, but how do we know that won't happen this year too?
I guess we don't know yet.
You know, I'm saying now,
but
you know,
I don't have very high hopes or great odds that it can happen again because of who's calling. I mean, that's nothing against Andy Dickerson.
That's fair.
But Bill Callahan is widely regarded as the best in the business at doing that.
Sure,
and we've seen it time and again. I've talked to guys who came here specifically to play for him. Now, there's other guys I've heard that don't like playing for him because he whips their ass.
Yeah.
And like
is
really hard on them. He's really hard on guys.
Yeah.
But he gets them ready to play.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue that he's not an excellent coach. I don't know if whoever they play at left tackle is terrible. I don't know. It's fair to say, oh well, if he were here, he wouldn't be terrible. You don't know that for sure, and we also don't know that they're going to be terrible. I know they were terrible this past preseason game, but that's the preseason.
I mean, they were getting guys off. Jaron Christian, right? Was that his name? I don't remember. Yeah,
he's now the backup left tackle in Tennessee. He followed Callahan.
Yeah,
and is listed at their left tackle too.
I mean, he went from a practice squad to he had not a great year by any means.
No, but he was serviceable.
Yes. He was very acceptable and serviceable last year.
Right. Hey, listen, I'd rather Bill Callahan be here. I don't disagree with you there.
I'd rather Jaron Christian be here at this point.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Over some of these other guys. Maybe that's who they go trade for. Maybe they go trade for him.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Callahan took him with him, so I'm sure he probably wouldn't do that. But, yeah, I mean, it all contributes. The 5-alarm fire is hotter because Callahan's not here, sure. But Andy Dickerson could be the next great offensive line coach. Who the hell knows?
It's fair.
I give him a chance.
Yeah, speaking of giving him a chance, the offensive line didn't give the quarterbacks much of a chance, which is what we're going to talk about in a sec. If you want some immediate reaction from the preseason game against Minnesota, go check out G. Bush's Ultimate Browns post-game stream, which is on our YouTube channel. G's on vacation all week, so there will not be an Ultimate Brown show on Monday or Friday. He is in San Diego enjoying some rest and relaxation before the season starts. But he did do a post-game stream on Saturday, so make sure you guys go check that out on our YouTube page. About that preseason game, both Tyler Huntley and DTR got extended run, both through multiple double-digit pass attempts. Neither looked stellar, but is it really fair to evaluate what we saw from either quarterback, Huntley or DTR, because of what was happening in front of them and the chaos they were under from essentially the start of the game to the final snap? Is it fair to take any lessons learned or true evaluations from that?
I mean, Jason, you know me. I take really nothing from the preseason, so I thought they both looked pretty bad.
They did.
But do you factor in the bad offensive line into how you look at them? Or
there could be chaos in week one, too.
Right.
So
you got to deal with it.
Not that these are going to be your quarterbacks, but I've been high on DTR. I like him regardless of what happened and that when last against the Vikings when he didn't look good.
Yeah.
Or the Packers when he did play well. I've always been high on him. We've talked about it on the show. I really thought he was starting to figure it out last year. I'm curious to see how they handle this quarterback thing because they're not going to keep all four, and I think all four bring a different value in one sense or another. And obviously in the third string battle between DTR and Huntley, one of them is probably going to be traded. It's a quarterback. You're going to be able to get value for him. Yeah. And that's probably why AB went out and signed Huntley, was knowing you could trade one of these guys, sort of like a Josh Dobbs last year, even though we ended up killing him at times for that trade. You got a 7th-round pick. It's not like you get much. But. Right, but you could get probably about the same, maybe a 6th for one of these guys now. But I like DTR. I hope he gets the job. I think Huntley brings value in that they need someone to quarterback sneak. Like, it's not going to be Deshaun. Like,
Can it be Jameis?
I don't know.
I mean, he's huge.
It might be. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just Jameis. But, it's been Jacoby Brissett. It's been Harrison Bryant. Those guys aren't here.
Yeah.
It's not, I promise you, after the injuries, it's not going to be Deshaun. So who is it going to be? Is it going to be Jameis, or do you keep Tyler Huntley?
Why is he the only quarterback in the NFL that can't quarterback sneak?
He's not going to. It's not going to be.
There's
him.
other quarterbacks with injury problems that they quarterback.
They didn't want to do it with him when he had 2 healthy shoulders.
I get what you're saying, but they're not going to keep. I don't think they're going to keep Huntley just for that.
I don't know.
I don't think they're going to let. I'm not convinced that you can trade Tyler Huntley. We'll see. Nobody wanted him in the offseason. I get it now. You're looking at your backups,
right?
And maybe there's some. DTR is not getting through waivers to the practice squad.
Absolutely not.
So, and he has shown at least some level. I'm not as high on him as you are, but I could see him being a long-time backup in the NFL. I don't think he's really a starter.
That's all I think he is.
Right. I could see him having a Colt McCoy type of career.
Yes.
Like he plays a couple of games, gets a chance here or there, a Tyrod Taylor type of career.
Yeah.
And maybe he's better. Who the hell knows?
Maybe in 4 years he's a starter for 1 year, grooming. Until the next guy comes.
And there's value in that.
Absolutely.
So if I'm the Browns, I can't let him go because I think if nothing else, he's maybe my long-term backup for a couple of years. Maybe I trade him before his last year and I could get something really of value. Because if he plays here and there and shows something, you could trade him for a higher pick at some point.
What did he sign? A 3-year deal last year? He's under contract for multiple years.
4 years. Most of the draft. I thought the draft pick contracts are all 4 except for the first-round picks.
I'll double-check on DTR.
I think you're right. I think he's got 3 years of control left.
Right.
There's value in that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So...
But you're going to have to keep him on the roster. And last year they did not have 3 quarterbacks on the roster most of the time.
Yeah.
But they got away with having P.J. Walker on the practice squad.
Flacco was on the practice squad for a couple weeks.
But you can't do that this year.
Right.
So they're going to have 3 quarterbacks on the regular roster. I think they're either going to have to cut Huntley and hope he gets to the practice squad, or
that's not going to happen.
Probably not, but maybe you can trade him for a 7th-round pick or something like that. We'll see. But to me, I'd be stunned if they let DTR go for Tyler Huntley.
Based on how they've played in camp, I would agree with that. I think DTR's had a better camp. I think he can make all the throws.
And he showed you a little last year when he played in real games.
Yeah. It was a 4-year deal, by the way.
Yeah. All right, so he's got 3 years left.
Yeah.
There's a lot of value in that.
Yeah,
a quarterback under contract for 3 years making
cheap.
nothing. Yeah.
Right. Because, you figure Jameis, if Deshaun Watson plays well this year and stays healthy, then Jameis could just be a 1-year thing. And DTR could be the backup next year.
He was brought here to be the long-term backup.
Yeah, right.
Like, that was the whole goal of using a fifth-round pick on him.
That's right. And to develop him.
And I don't think what has he shown that tells you he can't do that?
No.
Now, the injuries are a real thing with him. He's
He's
small.
not big, yeah.
He played very little last year, and he got 2 significant injuries in a short amount of time. Now, is that a fluke? Or is that just inevitable and more of that is to come? I guess that's what they're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And if they feel like he can't stay healthy, maybe you move on from him. But other than that, I don't know what he's done to make you think he can't be that guy.
No, absolutely not. I agree with you. I do think I am a little surprised that nobody signed Tyler Huntley to be their 3rd quarterback.
Yeah,
it was weird. And I think the Browns signed him at the time saying, hey, we don't know when Deshaun's going to be ready to play. And if we had to start the season with Deshaun on the PUP list or something like that, he'll be our 3rd quarterback.
Right.
But at this point, the more I think about it, you're probably right. And Micah said this too. They probably will be able to trade him. But ultimately, there's no reason to keep Tyler Huntley over DTR in my mind.
If you don't want Jameis as the sneaker, he's the sneaker. I know it sounds ridiculous.
Yeah.
I know it sounds crazy.
But I think
But how many times have you seen Brissett or Bryant? It's an important role.
I would think that Jameis would be a good sneaker. I don't know that that's the
I don't
case.
know. I don't know enough.
I'm trying to look up the stats on QB sneak
it's hard
conversion
to
rates,
find that.
but it's because they're just rushing attempts. It gets clogged in. So keep going. I'm gonna try to look.
Jameis is so big.
He's big.
You think he'd be tough to stop. But sometimes those big, bulky quarterbacks can be a little slow on that play.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's an important part of
what they do. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it sounds silly. In August, you're like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
In October and November, when it's 4th and 1.
No, it's important.
It's an important role.
It's important. Again,
we had Mary Kay on. Mary Kay was talking about using Huntley in this unique, dynamic way.
She called him Deebo Samuel.
Being able to do different things with him.
Deebo Samuel?
Yeah, I think that was probably
a
little bit of a reach.
Wait, so does she think they're going to keep 4 quarterbacks?
No, but she just thinks that they should keep Huntley and get creative with him. Find a creative way to just get the ball in his hands and find things to do with him. So
well, last year we were calling Elijah Moore Deebo Samuel, people were, and that didn't work out. But maybe it'll work out with Tyler Huntley. I don't know. Mike, any luck getting those numbers? It's probably really hard to find pure sneaks.
Yeah, because they all get lumped into rushes.
Yeah,
I found
don't worry about
one.
What do you got? Let's see if we can find anything. Please don't call. Hello? Please don't call me. I'm on the air right now, folks. All right. We did.
Yeah, I can't find anything
no
that's
luck?
definitive as opposed to just his rushing average, rush attempts. I can't sort it to 4th and 1 or 3rd and 1. Specifically that are run as sneak plays. So
right.
Where does he have to take a guess? Jameis is a big dude, so we'll see what happens. Is that it on the quarterbacks?
Yeah.
Move on?
Yes.
All right, then let's tell you guys about FanDuel. Get this second FanDuel read in here. We got our last Browns topic before we pivot over to some Guardians and some Cavaliers. You guys have heard us talk about FanDuel a lot, which is America's #1 sportsbook. It is undisputed, and now FanDuel has a little something different for you guys. Starting today through September 22nd, all FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Then, with a YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment, and you can cancel anytime. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to download America's #1 sportsbook. In the game against the Vikings on Saturday, despite the starters not playing.
By the way, this game was awful. I mean, it was unwatchable.
It was bad.
Did you force yourself to watch it?
I watched most of it. I finally shut it off.
I was having dinner at a friend's house, and we had the game on, and I'm like, oh my God, this is awful.
It's
Get me to the regular season, please.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was a little surprised Mike Hall Jr. played. I'm be honest. He practiced the day after the arrest, and he got injured with a stinger. Hadn't practiced the rest of the week. He played 25 snaps in this game. Did have a QB hit. Showed off some pretty impressive interior pass rush moves in his 25 snaps. Were you guys surprised at Mike Hall playing in this game, or did you expect it? I just wasn't expecting it, and then when I saw him in uniform playing 25 snaps, it kind of caught me off guard a little bit.
Jason, I think it's a bad look. I think it's a bad look that he was back in the building the next day and on the practice field. I think it's a bad look that he was in the game. You have to let due process play out. You have to let the legal process play out. I get that. But you also have to be sensitive to the allegations against him, and I think there's a way to just set him aside until you get a little bit more information. And you're not necessarily condemning him. You're not taking money from him. He's still getting checks. But you're not acting as if nothing happened either. And the Browns are acting as if nothing happened.
Right.
And I think that's a terrible – given the history of where this franchise has been and what they've been through and how they were the first to rush in and sign Kareem Hunt after his problems, and to his credit, he was a fine citizen in his time here. But they were the first one to rush in, and it was a different regime, but they were still number one. And then the Deshaun thing. And if you want to go all the way back to the Jim Brown thing, the history of this franchise and the way that it has – the history that it has in treatment of women, and now to just run him back out there the very next day and act like nothing happened, I think is a terrible look.
Not to mention a lot of shenanigans that were going on in the front office.
Oh, I've heard all the stories. Yeah.
You know, in previous regimes. I think what we're learning, the Browns in particular, and just in general in the NFL, for the most part, teams don't care about a bad look anymore. Because
what's it going to cost them?
It cost them nothing.
Yeah.
When the Browns traded for Deshaun Watson, people were like, this looks terrible, you're going to lose fans. None of that happened. Even if you lose a handful of fans, it's a non-factor. The teams, if it's not going to cost the owner money, he doesn't care.
Yeah.
I'm not saying none of the owners do. There's probably some that do. But this all started kind of with the Ray Rice thing, right?
Yeah.
And there was outrage in the video, and it seemed like everybody was on the same page with the outrage on Ray Rice. And eventually the Ravens were forced to move on, and then he
never played another snap.
Blackballed from the league, right? But ever since then, I mean, the Kareem Hunt thing was the next big one, I guess, really. And when the Browns signed him, it's just like now teams don't care. They don't care about signing bad guys because there's some bad guys on every team. Most of the fans don't care. They don't. I go back to when the Cubs traded for Aroldis Chapman. I used to be someone who was like, I don't want bad guys on my team. And slowly over the years, I've kind of been worn down, and I'm like, I just got to separate the player from the person, right? I don't have to like Aroldis Chapman. When the Cubs traded for Aroldis Chapman, I was like, ugh. But then I was like, well, he's damn good. He
throws 101.
We haven't won a World Series in my life. I'd like to win one. We all compromise.
Yeah.
Most people do. And so what Mike Hall is accused of is despicable. I wouldn't want to be friends with the guy if what he did was true. If I was an owner of a football team, I wouldn't want him on my team necessarily. But the reality is that if the Browns cut him or did whatever, so they don't care about those things. Now, my first thought was the same as you. What a terrible look to put him right back on the field and pretend nothing happened.
Yeah.
Why not at least sit him for a week? Let the air clear a little bit. Teams just don't care. And half the fan base, and this is not the Browns, this is every fan base in America, at least half, will make excuses, will apologize.
Oh, I got emails after the Mike Hall thing.
Yeah.
And well, how do you know it's true? Police reports lie all the time. I'm like, guys, there's marks on her arms. You think she drug herself across the concrete? You think she ran over and punched holes in the door after he left?
Obviously, you never know unless you're there, 100% certain what happened. It seems pretty obvious that at least part of what has been reported is true.
Yeah.
At least part.
Right.
Some fans just don't care.
There was another witness there. The mother was there.
Yeah. Everybody's lying. There's all conspiracy theories. We've reached a place in society where nobody trusts anything.
That's true.
And Everybody's got their own conspiracy theories. I believe whatever I believe. Facts be damned. Doesn't matter. And this is in all aspects of life. It's unfortunate. And that's where we're at with all these situations.
But you're right in that. I'll take it back to the stadium.
Yeah.
Teams are now building stadiums without allowing fans to vote.
Right.
And they're just doing it.
Right.
They're getting states to issue bonds.
Right.
And they're just doing whatever the hell they want. And fans have no say in it.
That's right.
And it's a terrible look.
Yeah.
And they don't care. They're just going to keep doing it.
No.
Because what's a bad look mean? What's it mean? What's it mean? What's it going to cost you?
Exactly. That's it.
Are people still going to show up? People are still going to show up.
Nothing changes. If the Browns are going to build this brand new stadium, the state will end up paying for whatever it pays for it. The people that currently sit in the upper deck, they're gone.
Yeah.
None of those people are going to be able to afford to go. It's only, you're going to have to be rich to be able to go to games.
I hope that they do something to where fans who've been going to games for their entire life.
There'll be a little.
I hope that there's at least a place for them if they do this. I hope there's a place for them.
Right.
And we're getting way off topic.
No matter what, there's almost nothing the Browns could do that would turn off enough people. And again, it's not just the Browns. It's pretty much any team.
The Deshaun thing was close. I've heard from more people who cannot root for the Browns now.
They're all full of crap.
I don't know.
Jason,
I don't know.
they're only
they
saying
still
that.
watch. They watch, but they're not as passionate because of the situation.
I think most of them are lying.
I don't know. I'm not saying all. I'm not even saying most. I'm saying there is a segment of the fan base that is so disgusted that they signed Deshaun that it's just not the same.
But they weren't disgusted about Kareem Hunt?
I don't know. I'm just telling you. I've heard from them over Deshaun way more than Kareem.
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure that obviously there are some people, but most of those people, it's easier now because he's played like crap to say, oh, I don't want him.
Right.
If Deshaun Watson plays great this year, nobody's going to care.
All goes away.
It all goes away.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
And if anyone mentions anything, oh, shut up. How dare you?
Yeah, exactly.
Look how long ago that was.
And this is not just here. Again, the Steelers fans, they ignored Ben Roethlisberger.
Yep.
He was a piece of garbage.
Yep. There'll be a statue of Ben.
Of course.
Just like there's the statue of Kobe. I mean.
You ignore those guys. The same Browns fans that were killing the Steelers for Ben Roethlisberger are now defending Deshaun Watson.
Yeah.
And the same Steeler fans that are killing Deshaun Watson were defending Ben Roethlisberger. We're all hypocrites. Not all, but most of us are hypocrites when it comes to our team. It's that simple. Be honest about it at least. Mike?
Yeah, no, I think it's all fair points. I just wasn't expecting him to play. And then when I saw him on my screen, I'm like,
yeah,
he's playing. I'm a little surprised by that. But I think your point of, at the end of the day, these teams, they know a bad look doesn't impact their bottom line whatsoever. It's becoming more and more common, and I don't think that trend's going to get bucked anytime soon.
NFL owners, for the most part, there probably are a few exceptions, care about number one, making money, number two, winning. Everything else is an afterthought, pretty much.
And by the way, to your Chapman point, did anyone care about the Chapman stuff when the Cubs won a World Series?
I'm sure there were some fans that were disgusted by it.
A 0.5% of the fan base,
Not even.
Maybe 1%.
Not
at
even.
Tops. Exactly.
I didn't like rooting for him. I didn't like it, but I did. Because I wanted them to win.
Winning cures all.
That's it.
If you win, this is going to sound
I was
terrible.
I was fine that they let him walk after that.
What if Chapman had been terrible? What if he blows the World Series?
Which he did.
Which he almost did.
Yeah.
What if it didn't work? How would you have felt about Chapman?
I don't think I would have felt any differently.
Really?
I would have.
Because I think the anger and the
sold
vitriol
our souls.
Yes.
Yes.
That's it. And
it didn't even work out.
And that's why, because Deshaun hasn't been quite yet what they expected, it makes it worse. It makes you angrier.
It does.
If you're in that camp,
no doubt,
it makes the vitriol even sting more.
You think things are bad now. If Deshaun Watson has a terrible season this year, because if he has a bad season this year, we're thinking about quarterbacks in the draft next year.
Yeah.
100%.
He's got 2 years left.
If that happens,
after that,
it's everybody. This is the worst.
Now it's
especially if you add in Baker. If Baker is for the first time as good back-to-back seasons.
Yep. Now you're trying to come up with an exit strategy of how to get out of the contract.
Could be ugly in these
Let's
streets
hope it doesn't get to
happens.
that. Go ahead, Mike.
You guys ready to talk a little Guardians?
Always.
No.
Well, they suck.
Well, we're going to talk a little Guardians.
Yeah.
If you want it, you could go back and check out the Ultimate Guardian show this morning. So, Bull, you did a show with Zach.
Yeah.
We're going to rehash some of those same thoughts here, but if you want more Guardian stuff, you can always go back and check out the Ultimate Guardian show. The offense went completely MIA in Milwaukee. And I told you I was going to do an eBay Motors reading. I didn't do it. That's my bad, Steve.
Yeah, it's a bad job.
So we'll do eBay Motors next time. The offense went completely MIA in Milwaukee. Over the 3-game series, the Guardians scored 4 runs. They had 13 hits total. They were 0 for 6 with runners in scoring position, left 14 runners on base. It's tough to win against anybody when you hit like that, especially a good team against Milwaukee. Do you attribute the lack of offense to really, really good pitching from the Brewers, or just a bad weekend with the bats for the Guardians?
Well, you got to give Milwaukee some credit. They did pitch well.
They have a tremendous pitching staff.
But wait a second. Colin Ray is Ben Lively, who pitched yesterday. Colin Ray.
Yeah.
He's Ben Lively.
Yeah. Okay, well, Lively's had a pretty good year.
I'm just saying, like, he's a career journeyman.
Yeah.
Who's come out of nowhere.
But if you
Aaron Savali's been terrible, and he pitched great on Friday. Freddie Peralta, who's been a really good pitcher, is not having a great year. Now, the Brewers have a little bit of magic on this team. They had it with Craig Counsell. They got this. Counsell's gone, and now the new manager's got this little bit of I don't know what it is.
I think they're a very smart organization.
They're an extremely smart organization, so there's a lot of things at play here when it comes to the Guardians' offense. What's your first observation about? You giving the pitching credit more than...
No, I was pissed off watching the games all week.
It was awful.
Yeah.
Awful to watch.
And I think Savali had a little extra, he's not having a good year, but obviously you're motivated. Yeah. You were having a great year last year and they traded you, so you want to stick it to them. But it was it was a terrible weekend. The offense looked awful.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, in general, Milwaukee throws it very well. Milwaukee has a good pitching staff.
Yes, they got a good pen.
Yeah. So and they haven't been. I think that's the first time they've been swept all year, right? That's the first time the Guardians have been swept.
No, they got swept by Arizona a couple weeks during the 7-game losing streak.
Yeah, they did. It was a doubleheader, then they lost the following.
Yeah.
game.
All right. So if it's the second time, it's hard to sweeps happen. It's luckily the Twins lost. It looked like the Twins were going to win again yesterday. Yeah. They were up late,
but they're still
and blew it.
They're still. So the Guardians had the best record in baseball for much of the season.
Yeah,
they're now 3 games ahead of Kansas City for the last playoff spot in the American League.
Yeah,
for the 6th spot in the American League. So they're going to make the playoffs probably because I think they're 6 games up on Boston, who's the 7 seed right now. But everything's in peril at the moment. Now the good thing is, everybody's been inconsistent since the All-Star break in the American League. Outside of Houston, they're playing really well. Kansas City's won like 4 or 5 in a row here. They'd lost 5 of 7 before that. The Yankees, Orioles, and Guardians had the exact same win total at the All-Star break, and now the Yankees and Orioles have 1 more win than the Guardians. So they've Guardians have played the worst of the 3 since the break, but not by much. I think the Yankees are like 17-15, and the Orioles are 16-15, and the Guardians are 14-15, something like that.
Right.
But they've all been kind of up and down in the 5 weeks since the All-Star break. There's plenty of time to get going. There's no great team in baseball. There's a lot of good teams, and the Guardians are one of them.
Yep.
But here's the thing that's driving me crazy. We talked so much about the starting pitching, but really it's the bats. The lineup is the biggest problem right now. And Lane Thomas has been awful since they got him. He's batting like 100. He's been terrible. All their guys, like in April, May, and into June, they were ridiculously clutch with runners in scoring position with 2 outs.
And it was somebody different every night.
Yes, and even some of their lower tier guys who didn't have overall great numbers were getting clutch hits. And now nobody's getting a clutch hit. Almost nobody. David Fry. Zach gave me his stats, I want to say since early July. His OPS since early July is under 600. He's been horrible. And Kwan obviously has been pretty bad for a while.
Yep.
None of the other guys are doing anything. John Kenzie, I know, has hit the home runs, but doesn't do much of anything else. Freeman's done nothing forever. Schneeman's done nothing forever. So you have all these holes in the lineup. You made the one trade. It hasn't worked out so far. Meanwhile, you got Manzardo and Valera, who've had a ton of AAA at-bats. Time to bring them up. You have Chase DeLauder, who's their best offensive prospect, who's gotten hot here. Like, do something. I said they should DFA Austin Hedges I know they're not going to do it.
No, they're not.
I would DFA him and make him a coach immediately. They're not going to do it, obviously. The problem is Fry can't catch right now. But you got to shake up the lineup a little bit. You got to do something. Honestly, and Zach and I were talking about this before, I would put Fry on the injured list because obviously there's something going on. I would send down either Freeman or Schneemann, and I would call up right now Manzardo, Valera, DeLauder, 2 of those 3 guys, and then on September 1st I'd bring the third guy up of that group.
Yeah.
You got to get some new guys in there. And the thing is, with Freeman and Schneemann and John Kenzie, these guys are not top prospects. DeLauder and Manzardo are their top prospects. Like, I know Manzardo's not been very good lately, but let's see what they got in the big leagues. Call them up. We need some new bats. The same old thing ain't working here.
Right. Schneemann was never Schneemann's never been a prospect.
Freeman was a decent
Freeman
prospect.
was, yeah.
But not as high as these guys. Not as high as DeLauder.
He was top 100. I feel like Freeman was a top 100 guy a couple years ago.
Freeman was.
Yeah.
And so was Rocchio.
I mean, I've never been a Rocchio fan ever. I mean, it might be time to give Arias another look.
Oh my God!
He's actually playing pretty well.
Yes,
in AAA.
he's hitting it well.
He's gotten too many looks already.
I know.
Why won't they call Manzardo up? Why won't they call DeLauder up? Why won't they call Valera up? What is happening?
The Manzardo thing is weird.
Yeah.
I mean, DeLauder now, DeLauder's a weird one because if you start his clock now, you're burning a year.
No, you're not.
Yeah. Well, no, you're not. You're right. You're not. You're far enough into the season now that he wouldn't burn it. Well, maybe it is time to give him a look.
Well, you're saying, next year they could wait till June.
But
are you trying to win or not?
And that's the thing.
Come on.
You're in a spot now. This is one of the best records in baseball.
Yeah.
This is a team that we have thought all year long, this feels different. This is different. Yeah. This team is right there. And I still believe that to be true. The Manzardo thing I can't figure out. I can't figure it out. Like, bring him up. Give him a couple starts a week at first base.
Yes.
Make Josh DH a couple of times a week.
It's enough when he can't DH. He's better suck it up.
It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, especially because he stinks at first base. The White Sox are 30-95. That is just insane.
Poor Grady.
It's time to do something. I got to say this to Chris Anthony, and I know the Guardians are going to get pissed off. I never hear from them when I say 100 good things, but I say one bad thing, they get mad at me. We make the phone calls come and all this stuff. Especially when I ask for tickets, that's when they really get mad at me. But are Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff, are they trying to win? Is winning a priority here or not? Because there's no way that these slappies that you got in the lineup are better. And listen, they could call DeLauder up, they could call Valera up, they could call Manzardo up. They might all suck too in the majors. Who knows? The Guardians haven't had much luck with a lot of the young hitters recently.
Yeah.
They might all be terrible. But why would we not try it? 2 of those 3 guys have never been to the big leagues.
Right.
Manzardo, how many at-bats did Manzardo have in the big leagues?
I'll look it up one sec. Hold on.
But to your point about Manzardo, and he's not in the class of Caminero and Jackson Holiday. He's not in that class.
No, he's not.
But Holiday has looked significantly different.
Totally
much
different
better.
player, yeah.
Caminero was okay in a brief stint last year. Now he's healthy. He's up at Tampa, hitting the cover off the ball. So it's a lot of times it's you struggle, you go down, you come back up, and you stick.
Yeah.
Maybe he's ready for that.
He was up 80. He had 82 plate appearances.
I don't know that. What else do you need to see from Kyle Manzardo in AAA?
Nothing.
What else is there for him to do in AAA?
There's nothing for him to do. You have to call him up. Let's go. And I'm sure they will at some point, maybe in September. But why wait? Don't wait another 2 weeks.
I mean, you're 2 games up in the division, 3 games up from the last wild card spot. Yeah. I've thought all along, from the 60-game mark, I foolishly declared they're going to the playoffs. That's it. Look at history. History tells you 60 games is a good indicator.
Right.
From where they were at 60 games in, they are going to the playoffs. And I still believe, they're going to the playoffs. But let's not.
But they need to win the division. I mean,
yes.
I still think they can win the World Series. They're playing poorly right now.
They have a bullpen that can win the World Series.
100%. And they're getting right now. They're getting enough starting pitching. The pitching has been, although Gavin Williams is a big disappointment. We'll talk about that in a minute. But there's enough pitching now. Enough. Certainly for the playoffs with the bullpen, where you can pitch guys almost every day. But you can't have 4 or 5 zeros in your lineup every day. And right now, in addition to all the zeros you already had, David Fry's a 0.
Yeah.
He's, I don't know if it's injury or he was just, obviously he was played way over his head early in the season. But we expected him to cool down, but not. I mean, he's been horrendous.
With what they have right now, Noel needs to be in the lineup every day.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that
he
the presence that he brings.
Yes.
Although I see a lot of Oscar Gonzalez in him.
Or Fran Mil-Reyes.
There's just a lot of Oscar of it's all or nothing. He chases really bad pitches.
Yes, if he can't improve in that area, then he's never going to have a major league career of significance.
Right. But right now, he's the best you got. Like, he can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Threat.
He can hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Yeah, I mean, he's their third biggest power threat.
Yeah, you don't have a lot of guys right now who can do that.
No, I'd play him every day, but I mean, I got to get some of these other guys up in the lineup. Go ahead,
Before
Mike.
we talk about Gavin Williams, I do want to talk about Gavin, Bybee, and Lively, who pitched this weekend. Kwan's also a name that you guys mentioned has been struggling. His average is down to 316. I mean, we were having the conversation.
He was at 385,
could
390.
He hit 400, which I know was a silly conversation.
It was a silly conversation to have, but
I think there's a chance.
I didn't think he'd be this low. I thought he'd finish at worst 330, 335.
No.
Exactly.
Not even, was he third in batting now in the American League?
He's behind Witt and Judge for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who else. He's been in a free fall essentially since that peak when he returned from the injury list.
Yeah.
Can you put your finger on what's not clicking for Kwan in the way it was? His power numbers have been essentially the same pre-injury, post-injury, but the contact, I'm not sure if it's a BABIP issue, but whatever it is, something's not right with Stephen Kwan right now.
You know
I
what?
haven't seen his BABIP.
I think like this is who he can be.
Yeah.
He can be he's never hit 300 in his life. It's only in his third year. And he hit like 298, I think, as a rookie. He slumped a little bit last year. And they came into the season saying, hey, we're going to give up a little bit of contact to get to a little bit more power. Well, he's done that. But he went out on just a mind-bending tear for a while. But if you remove that, I know it's hard to do, but if you remove that, and if you look, if I'd have told you at the beginning of the year Stephen Kwan's going to hit 315 with double-digit home runs, I would sign up for that in a second.
Sure, but what is his batting average since he reached that high point? It's been way below 300.
In the last month, he's 117 at bats. He's hitting 215.
Okay.
Yeah, that's hideous.
But yes, it is. But in a month is a little bit of extended time.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to go through that. So if every year, if he's a 300 hitter with 20 home runs every year, 20.
Well,
that's an all-star.
He's not going to get to 20 probably.
Had he not missed a month, he would have.
Yeah, might have. You're right. Stephen Kwan's a nice player. He wasn't as good as the player he was early in the season. He's not that good.
Yeah.
He's good. He's a good player. He's an excellent defender. He's an excellent base runner. He's developed some power now, and I agree. I think he'll be a 300 hitter or around 300. He'll be one of the best hitters in terms of batting average in baseball. Our expectations got too far out of whack because he was just so hot. I think he might have been pressing for a while, too, because, once you're batting it, for a while, he was the talk of baseball.
Yeah.
When he's batting 390, it's June, hey, can Stephen Kwan hit 400? You start hearing that.
Yeah.
No matter what you say, you start hearing that stuff. And so I think he was pressing. I think he'll bounce back. I bet you the final 6 weeks of the season he hits a lot better. And he'll finish I bet you he finishes with a batting average of 330 something.
Hey, if you hit 315 with 20 home runs, you're an all-star.
Especially in this major league.
Yeah, you're an all-star.
There's not a lot of 300 hitters anymore.
No. So
it's insane, by the way, that two insane things right now going on in baseball that probably the average fan is not paying attention to. The fact that Aaron Judge has the most home runs and is second in batting average in this day and age of baseball.
330, 335?
331, 44 homers, 111 RBIs. He has 11 more RBIs than Jose, who's in second. 5 more homers than Ohtani, who's in second. He's 19 points behind Bobby Witt, who's hitting 350. Yeah. And 14 points ahead of Vlad Guerrero Jr., who's third at 317.
And the other story here is that Shohei Ohtani has a legit chance to become the first player ever to do 50-50. What has he got, 39 homers, 39 steals, Ohtani?
On the season, he has 39 homers and
38 or 39 steals.
I got to go to the expanded stats page. He has 37 stolen
37.
bases.
He's definitely going to become the 6th player, I think, to go 40-40. No, I know it's not a round number. I mentioned this the other day, so it's a weird thing to say.
45.
42-42.
Oh.
Nobody's even done that.
The double Jackie Robinson.
Nobody's done the double Jackie. 42-42. That's in the bag.
45's a pretty good shot.
Yeah, I think he's got a chance. He needs 11 homers and 13 steals.
He'll get the steals. If he gets the homers, he'll get the steals.
I think he's going for it.
I'm sure the homers are harder to get than the steals.
Yeah.
If he gets the homers, I promise you he'll get the steals.
Yeah.
He's not going to go 50-47.
It's just crazy how good this guy is.
I know. Best player I've ever seen.
Ever.
I
don't care what anybody says. Now, he's got to do it longer to go down.
I don't know. I think he's already.
I've never seen anything like this.
To pitch the way he can pitch.
He's a top 5 pitcher and a top 5 hitter.
He could win the Cy Young and the MVP every year.
That would lock it up. If he ever does that in the same year, Cy Young, MVP, I think the discussion's over. It has to be.
Well, there have been pitchers who have won the Cy Young and the MVP, but they've won the Cy Young.
But that's different.
Yeah, right.
To win it, the MVP as a hitter and the Cy Young as a straight pitcher.
He did win the MVP already, but he didn't win the Cy Young.
No, but I mean in the same season.
It'll be interesting to see how good he is at pitching coming off the surgery next year.
Right.
But I mean, he's just ludicrous.
Speaking of pitching, you mentioned Gavin Williams a second ago. He was coming off a terrific
That was
start.
A real disappointment.
And this most recent one against Milwaukee just not up to par from what the Guardians need from Gavin Williams.
The 3-run homer killed him.
Yep.
If he doesn't give up the 3-run homer.
Was it Adames?
Yes.
Yeah,
it was Adames.
That guy's been hot as hell.
If he doesn't give that up, there's 2 outs, right? If he gets out of that, I mean, ifs and nuts
it's not good enough,
buts.
They need him. He's 1 start good, 1 start bad right now.
Yeah, I know.
Now, it's not Bieber. Bybee pitched great.
Yeah.
Pitched good
Very
the next
well.
day.
Yeah.
And Lively bounced back after 2 straight bad starts. So overall, they pitched well in the series. But that was disappointing. I wanted to see him follow up that great start with another great start.
He's been back, what, a month now?
A little more than that.
Over a month because I saw him pitch against San Diego after the All-Star break, and that wasn't his first start.
Yeah,
back,
he came back right before the All-Star break, I think. He didn't
have so about 6 weeks. He's probably about 6 weeks back.
Yeah, something like that.
It's time.
Now's time. I mean,
they need him right now.
Yes.
He's got probably about 4 or 5 starts left.
There's 38 games left.
Oh, he's got more than that. 7.
7.
Yeah, he's probably got 7 starts left.
Zach said today, and I agree with him, the floor's been raised for the rotation.
Oh, for sure.
Which is important.
Yeah.
And
it doesn't feel like the crisis that it felt like a month ago.
And you feel like right now you have a chance to at least get an adequate start with all their starters every time they go out.
I'm still not convinced about Matthew Boyd.
I'm not at all.
But
he's pitching tomorrow in Yankee Stadium.
Yeah. Well, wear a helmet.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Although the Yankees, they've been inconsistent too. They blew a game, that Little League game. Did anybody watch that last night?
I did, actually.
I wanted to. I didn't.
I didn't see the end of the game. I went to bed before the end of the game.
I did too, but it's cool they integrate the Little League stuff.
It is so cool the way they do that.
I wanted to bring this up before we move on to this rule proposal, at least Major League Baseball is considering. But Jeff Passan, Cleveland guy, tweeted this out yesterday. Steve, you could take tag board, but it only shows you half the tweet. I want to read this full thing because it's interesting. Jeff tweeted out, "This is shaping up to be the weirdest baseball season in a decade with 6 weeks left. Here are the dozen best records in Major League Baseball. The Phillies are 1 game ahead of the Dodgers, Orioles, and Yankees, 1 game ahead of the Guardians as well." Then he goes on to talk about the best run differentials in baseball. You can't see this because
Royals are number 2 behind the Yankees.
They are, and if Social News Desk was better, I would show you it, but Social News Desk is a piece of you-know-what, so I'm just going to tell you what it is. The Yankees are first in baseball, plus 116. The Royals second, plus 109. Brewers third, 106. Phillies fourth, 102. Dodgers fifth, 101. Orioles sixth, plus 90. Guardians seventh at 78 runs above the run differential. They go on yada, yada, yada. But here's the interesting part. The best team in Major League Baseball is on pace for 95 wins this year. The last year without a 100-win team was 2014. Similarly, the last time the top run differential in baseball was less than plus 231. Mind you, the Yankees first in baseball at 116.
Half that.
The last time it wasn't 231, also 2014. It's barely half at the moment. Jeff summarizes the tweet with, all of which to say is this: after a year where a 90-win wildcard team faced an 86-win wildcard team in the World Series, the 2024 championship looks as up for grabs as it ever has. Do you guys like the parity in baseball like this?
I do.
I love it.
Very much so,
yeah. I was just going to say that it feels, and who knows if this is a one-year anomaly or if this is what's to come. I don't know how we would gauge that. like we've talked about the parity in the NBA, that's here to stay. That's not going away.
Right.
NFL, it's built that way to have this type of parity. I think it's great. I think it's awesome. I love it in baseball. Everybody's got a chance. We sat here 10 minutes ago and said the Guardians can win the World Series this year. I wholeheartedly believe that. Yeah, they have flaws. They got problems. So is everybody else on that list.
Yeah,
this is a team that can win the World Series
There's
this year.
nobody that's unbeatable at all. Or I thought the Dodgers would be lights out this year. They've had so many injuries to their pitching staff.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. The teams that have the huge payrolls, like the Dodgers and Yankees, with steroids out of the game, at least in theory, those teams always have so many older players that they always deal with more injuries than some of the other teams that have younger teams. Like the smaller market teams have to do more with younger players.
Yeah.
In general, you're less likely to have injuries with younger players. That's why the Dodgers and Yankees have had so many injuries the last few years. That's a big part of it because they're old teams. And also, while it's tricky for a team like the Guardians because they refuse to spend more than they do. As big as the payroll is for the Yankees, and they're not even the biggest, like the Dodgers and the Mets, but the elite players get paid so much money that even teams like the Yankees and Dodgers and Mets have now, instead of having like a superstar, they try to save money in other spots. And so they have a lot of those big market teams are studs and duds. Now, listen, the Yankees are almost always in the playoffs. Same for the Dodgers, same for the Phillies. The Mets, not as much. But it's not like those teams have the Yankees haven't won the World Series in a long time.
I know.
Dodgers' only World Series in the last 40 years was the COVID year.
Yep.
The Mets haven't won since '86. So I think even though the numbers are out of whack, I think there are more teams, not the Guardians, unfortunately, spending to the middle. I think there's a lot of really smart GMs on the middle and small market teams. I think the major market teams take too many old players, and that's all contributed to this. And just the amount of injuries in general, it has made it more competitive. I think it's here to stay. It was the case last year. There's no team that could win the World Series this year that would shock me. In the National League, there's going to be one or two teams, the last two teams, maybe a little bit. In the American League, if you told me the Royals won the World Series, I wouldn't tell you're crazy.
They would not be one of my top 5 picks.
Agreed. But you're going to say it's impossible?
No.
They got Cole Reagans and Seth Lugo at the top of the rotation. Those guys have been fantastic. Bobby Witt is incredible. Salvador Perez, great player. Pasquantino, top of their lineup's good. They got some holes like the Guardians.
I think their bullpen's going to wind up costing them.
Yeah, but they got some reinforcement. Yes, their bullpens. That's the big gap between them and the Guardians.
Yeah.
Is the Guardians' bullpen is a lot better. I think the Royals' rotation is better than the Guardians, but not by as much as the Guardians' rotation is better than the bullpen.
Yeah.
But the Royals did add some guys at the deadline, so their bullpen's not as bad as it was early in the season. I'm just saying they're competitive. The Twins are competitive. Now, if they play the Yankees, we know what happens there. But certainly the Guardians can win the World Series. Certainly the Astros can win the World Series. The Yankees, we know, can. Hopefully they won't. We know, the Orioles are really good. But look, Corbin Burns just got smoked the other day.
Yeah. I was trying to think how many times in my lifetime did I really think the Guardians/Indians truly could win the World Series. It's not many.
No.
Did
you think they could win it in 16 when the playoffs started?
No. They had too many injuries.
I know. I didn't think so either.
In 97, I didn't think they could. They didn't have a very good team in 97.
No. Meanwhile, in 17, I thought they could.
I thought they could in 17.
Out early.
95, yes.
Yes.
17, yes. At this point in the season.
Right.
Before the playoffs even began.
Sure.
95, I thought they could win the World Series. Did not think that in 97. Did not think that in 16. Did think that in 17.
Didn't think that in 12.
Didn't think that in 12.
What about the other years in the 90s and the early 2000s? You didn't think?
96, yes.
Yeah.
When they lost to Baltimore in the first round.
Right.
I did think in 96. I don't remember 98 and
Any
99.
of the Sabathia Lee years?
That might be it.
Yeah.
95, 96. I didn't think that in 97. I don't remember 98 and 99.
Yeah.
16. I'm sorry, 17.
Yeah.
And this year. That might be it.
Right. 22, you didn't think they could win the World Series.
I mean, when you get to the playoffs, you never know. If things break,
sure.
They're right. But at this point in the season, going into September, going into the stretch run, into the pennant race, could this team viably win the World Series? it's been less than 5 times in my lifetime.
Right.
And this is one of those years. I absolutely believe it.
And to be fair, a big part of that is, even though there's probably, like, the 2017 team, 2016 team even, was better than this team, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Right? But the competition seemed better then.
Yeah.
This year, there's nobody that's that impressive.
Mike just showed the graphic from passing. There was those top 7 teams, I think, are separated by 3 games right now.
And they're all playing around 5.
3 games, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 7 teams separated by 3 games.
To Bull's point, they're all about 500 since the All-Star break.
Right. Maybe not the Dodgers. They've probably been a little better than that, no? Dodgers also?
Paston went on to say it's about all.
Yeah.
Everyone's around
I think all of those teams are around 500 since the All-Star break. They've all been up and down.
Where's Philly's payroll? Because you got 2 behemoths there. You got 2 behemoths in the Dodgers and the Yankees. Philly's up there, but I don't think they're in that stratosphere. But I haven't paid that much attention.
I would bet their payroll is over $200 million.
According to Spotrac, Philly has the 4th highest payroll in baseball, $246 million.
All right, it's higher than I thought.
What's the top 10?
Mets first.
Can you put that graphic back up while you read that?
Yeah. You want top 10 payrolls?
Yeah.
Mets first.
Yeah.
Yankees second. Houston third.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Philly fourth.
That's misleading because the Dodgers pushed off all that money. But
yeah, the Dodgers are 5th. If you turn Ohtani's $2 million into 70, they'd be second.
Right.
So they're 5th,
all right,
but they're
but
second.
3 of the top 5 on that list so far.
Braves are 6. Cubs are 7. Rangers 8. Toronto 9. And the Giants 10.
So 3 teams.
And if you scroll down, 19 Twins, 20 Royals, 21 Brewers, 22 Orioles, 23 Guardians.
Wow.
Guardians are 23? I thought they were lower than that.
According to Spotrac, what I'm looking at.
So 4 teams are 19 through 23.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yep.
And 3 of the top 5. Now, and there's other teams below those top 7 that I think are pretty close too, right? Like that was the top of the tweet.
Yeah. Right.
But still, I mean, the top 7 teams in baseball separated by 3 games.
Yeah.
3 of them are the top of the league in spending. 4 of them are middle to
Are
lower
19
tier.
to 23.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I mean, money. The biggest thing the high payroll does is it allows you to make up for mistakes. You screw up, you can cover it, and it allows you to re-sign all your guys that you want to.
That's the biggest thing.
Yeah,
it's really just that's what was so frustrating to me about the Lindor thing. If you want to go back a couple years, they did everything right. They nailed the pick. They developed him. They turned him into a star. And then you don't retain him.
Right.
And you can say you can't or whatever.
Yeah.
They were not able to retain him. That's the most frustrating part about when you do everything right and you still can't keep your guy.
Yeah.
That's the most frustrating.
By the way, at the end of that first year after that trade, there were an awful lot of people crowing that the Guardians got the better end of that trade.
I was one of them.
Yeah,
I was one of them.
I mean, Lindor, listen, he hasn't
been on fire lately.
He's not as good as he was at his best here. But overall with the Mets, even though he hasn't made an all-star game, he's been a borderline all-star.
Yeah.
Whereas Jimenez had one great year, and then he's just a defensive player.
So you hope that if it was in there once, you can find it again.
Right.
But maybe the move to short will invigorate him next year. I don't know.
I think we'd all rather have Lindor than
for sure.
than Jimenez.
I mean, at no point did you rather
Obviously
have
it's money. But,
at no point would I rather have had Jimenez than Lindor.
there were some fans that were saying that.
I didn't want that.
Yeah.
But I thought that they knocked it out of the park for the parameters that they were dealing under.
Right.
And the fact that they got someone who looked like a comparable replacement.
Yeah.
And they got him to take the deal. It looked like a win of a trade, but at no point did I think Jimenez was a better player than
I mean,
Lindor.
can you imagine if they had signed Lindor and Ramirez?
Oh, yeah.
How much
better
they'd be right now?
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of Lindor's struggles, I think, were also adjusting to New York.
Absolutely.
Anyway, go ahead, Mike.
Well, the Guardians start a 3-game set with New York in New York tomorrow. We'll preview that on tomorrow's show. We got another baseball topic to get to after a quick word from eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for, and with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back, because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber and not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some big-time wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. Bull and Jason, have you seen this new proposed MLB rule they're at least considering?
Are you sure this is legit? Because I thought I saw it from like a fake account.
No, it is. It is very legit.
Okay, go ahead.
Very legit. I'm reading the article from Jeff Passan.
Yeah, Passan
Okay,
wrote
go
about
ahead.
it the other
On
day.
ESPN. Essentially, what Major League Baseball is at least considering. This is not a proposal that's going in front of the owners yet. It's just something they're talking about. Is they want to prioritize the starting pitching again,
which is interesting because from a financial standpoint, that will negatively affect the owners because if the starting pitchers are going longer, they're going to get paid more.
More money.
It's interesting that they'd want to do something that negatively affects their bottom line in theory. But go ahead.
So what the goal of this rule would be, and I'm reading this directly from the article on ESPN, to restore the prestige of the starting pitcher. And the premise of this rule would be that starting pitchers would have to pitch at least 6 innings every time out, assuming they don't hit a certain number of threshold. They throw 100 pitches.
Yeah.
If they give up more than 4 earned runs, if he gets injured, you can take him out before the 6th inning. But they want starters to go deeper and deeper into games. According to this article, in 2014, starting pitchers averaged just under 6 innings per start, according to ESPN Stats and Information, 5.97 innings. This season, that number's dropped down to 5.15 innings per start.
Here's
so
the
almost
problem,
a full inning drop in a decade.
Here's the problem with that. First of all, it's misleading because in 2014 there was no such thing as an opener. So you got to take those guys out.
But are they when they're coming up with those figures? Are they counting the bulk?
I do not know the answer to that.
Yeah, the bulk reliever. I bet you they're not.
I don't know.
I'm going to guess they're not because it's ESPN and they're doing it. They also mention in AAA, the average length of a start is 4.3 innings.
Yeah, so I bet you if you take out those openers, it's probably closer to 5.4, 5.5. I think, listen, I have liked all the new rules. I don't know about you. And a lot of them I was against when I first heard about.
I was skeptical.
I thought, why are we getting rid of the throwing the 4 pitches for the intentional walk? It was a smart move. I love the base runner on second base and extra innings.
I don't like that one.
Love it.
I don't like that one.
We're doing it in fall ball.
Are you really?
Innings. Yeah. We haven't gotten to extra innings yet, but we are. I love that you can't pull out relief pitchers until they face 3 batters. I love the pitch clock. It's made games so much more
I do love
quick.
it. I didn't know that it was going to have as much of an impact.
I didn't think it would at
That
first.
is the game changer in baseball.
Over 30 minutes less on average. That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
I don't like this idea because I don't know what a difference is that making. I mean, most of the guys who are not going 6 are guys who are not good or who get their pitch count goes too high or they suck. Most of the good pitchers are going 6, or at least they're going 5 and change. So we're going to force them to face one more batter?
Yeah.
And that just seems silly.
I didn't like the minimum batters for relief pitchers because I think you're taking too much strategy out of the game to save a minute and a half.
I love the added DH.
The what?
The DH in the National League.
Oh, the National League. Yeah, that fine.
People complaining about lack of strategy there.
No.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
Who wants to see a pitcher hit?
No, I don't.
But I think that you're stepping too far over into the strategy of the game when you do this. There's reasons why, and I don't love it either. Like I was the one complaining, Tanner Bybee's got to get deeper in games.
Yeah.
And so I do think pitchers need to get deeper, but I don't think you can legislate that. I don't think it's fair to legislate that. You have to let these teams manage themselves the way they see fit. Now, the interesting wrinkle that I did see, I think Jeff mentioned, if you take a guy, so maybe not necessarily legislate that he has to get that far, but
there's consequences for not making it. And are you talking about the DH thing?
Yes, you lose your DH. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
If you don't go 6 innings, you lose your DH. If you pull your pitcher before the 6th, you lose the DH.
What I don't understand, how is that benefiting Major League Baseball?
That's why you're stepping too far into the strategy side of it. You're telling teams how they can and can't manage their teams, and I don't like that. But I do think it's. I just think it's an interesting wrinkle.
Yeah, I don't like.
And I just got done saying I hate watching pitchers hit.
Right.
But when you add a strategic component to it like that, it just.
What is the biggest problem in baseball? The biggest negative about baseball right now?
The biggest negative about baseball?
Yeah.
I don't know. What is it?
It's not enough hitting.
Oh well, yeah.
And the answer is, I mean. I guess if you force starters to go longer, you'll see more hits because those guys will get more tired. You're pulling out. If you force a 5th starter to go 6 innings, imagine Carrasco had to go 6 innings every game.
Well, but one of the thresholds is 4. If he gives up 4 innings, you can pull him.
4 runs.
4 runs. If you get to 4 runs,
I don't know that it's going to change it. How many guys come out before 6 innings if they haven't given up 4 runs? I mean.
I actually think it's quite a few, but I
just don't. They got to find a way. They got rid of the shift, which another rule I liked.
Yeah, I do too.
Because they felt like offense was too far down. And last year, the first year of the change, hitting went up a little bit, but now it's lower than it's ever been again.
Yeah,
the batting averages are terrible right now, but I don't think there's anything you can do because the reason it is because you have all these late inning pitchers who throw 100 miles an hour. No relief pitcher ever faces a batter more than once.
Yeah.
And
I think you're exposing yourself to more injuries with pitchers.
Yeah. Yes.
Because a lot of times, how many times do you see guys get pulled after 87, 88 pitches now? Because you're telling these guys throw as hard as you can for as long as you can.
Right.
Where they weren't doing that 10, 15 years ago. So now if you're making them throw 100, either they're changing that and going back to don't throw it as hard as you can, or I just think that you're exposing them to even more injuries than what, and this year was a huge epidemic. It felt like
I don't think that rule's going to pass. First of all, you'd have to have a different rule for like April because guys are not throwing 100 pitches in April. Even the good starters are not really doing that in April when the season's early.
And if you come back from injury.
Right.
Like if it's your first start back from injury.
I know, it just doesn't make any sense. I understand what they're trying to do. It is annoying when the starting pitcher's coming out after 4. You see these starting pitchers now sometimes. I'll see, I saw Craig Counsell do this in the Cubs game once. The Cubs starter, Ben Brown, early in the year, is a rookie, right? He had a shutout through 4 2/3. He took him out of the game.
Yeah.
By the way, from a statistical standpoint, we need to change the rules on how the pitcher gets a win.
Wins and losses.
Yeah. It should be the official scorer should pick the winner and the loser.
I agree.
But I want to see more offense in baseball, so anything that's going to do that, I think will be good. But I think this is stupid. It won't work because most of the guys coming out early, it's because they're close to 100 pitches or because they've given up too many runs. I don't think there's that many guys coming up in the 4th and 5th inning that are at 80 pitches and giving up 1 run. I just don't think that is that common, but who knows. Any other rule changes they're working on?
So I just want to mention that in this article they say part of the reason they are considering this is with the increase in arm injuries. They're hoping that pitchers would focus less on max velocity every pitch, knowing they have to navigate 6 innings or 100 pitches, which down the road could end up saving some arms. But I feel like, to both of your guys' point, it takes out the strategic element of baseball, which is if you have a certain matchup or if a guy can't face the lineup for a 3rd time without getting rocked, like, you shouldn't be forced to have to do that.
Yeah, I mean, but they're doing that with relief pitchers now. So, I mean, I honestly don't care about it for that point. I just think it's stupid. I don't know. But I get why you would.
I do think the DH component of it would be fun, Jason. Like,
But why is that fun? I don't want to see pitchers hit. I thought we were done with pitchers hitting.
No, but if you have to consider, all right, do we let Cookie Carrasco go through the lineup one more time? Or one more inning? He has to get through one more inning.
Yeah.
Or he has to hit later. What do you like? I feel like that could lead to some very lively topics of discussion on this show.
I don't think the pitchers would really hit, though. I think they would just pinch hit for them.
They would. You'd pinch hit for them. You'd involve the bench more, or if there's nobody on base and 2 outs, maybe you just let the pitcher finish the inning and get another inning.
Depends on the score and all that.
It does feel a little bit like we're getting to the point, like you could sit around with your buddies at the bar and come up with like these goofy rules.
Right.
They're actually like thinking about some of this stuff, which is a little terrifying. Like some of it, I like most of the changes. I don't like all of them. I like most of the changes that they've made to this point. And I don't like Manfred, but I give him credit for being creative and thinking outside the box and trying to bring appeal back to the game and speed up the game.
Yeah.
I'm
and
not
the
sure
numbers
this
are up.
one
Like TV is up, and attendance is up. I think baseball is doing fairly well, but
they still need to market their guys better. They're awful at marketing.
It's got I think it's a little better than it was.
Go take the top 5 people from NBA marketing. Just overpay them and bring them, because NBA, I think, does it best.
I do think, to some degree, Ohtani and Judge are out there more than most stars have been in the past.
Well, it's the markets they play in help.
Yeah. I see them in commercials. I feel like we never saw Mike Trout in commercials. No. We didn't see Albert Pujols in commercials. No,
I mentioned this before. When MLB All-Star was here, and they've got all the players at the podium, Mike Trout had like nobody at his podium.
Yeah.
I'm like, if this were the NBA, can you imagine trying to get to Kevin Durant at All-Star Weekend at his podium? Like
I know.
It was 9 and 10 deep 20 minutes before he got to the podium. And Trout, I could just walk right up to him. Yeah. There's nobody there.
It's strange. But, baseball has been – again, I think they've started to improve slightly, but they still are terrible.
Yeah.
Now, it's – basketball, by the nature of the sport, is easier to market the stars. They kind of market themselves. It's more of an individual sport, even though it's a team sport.
They have more teams. Like, players have their own teams that do this stuff for them.
Exactly. But yes, baseball could do a much better job.
Yeah.
Much better. Because in football, which, in the past had been an anonymous sport because you can't even see guys' faces, Patrick Mahomes, big star. So is Travis Kelce. A lot of, Aaron Rodgers has been. Brett Favre was. There's been a lot of guys in the NFL, and baseball has been really poor at that. So, anyway. All right, Mikey.
All right, we're going to talk a little Cavs, guys. Bull's been dying to get to this topic. God. I know he's been chomping at the bit to do this. Quick reminder, if you're not already subscribed to the UCSS newsletter, make sure you text the number at the bottom of your screen to get on that UCSS newsletter. Earl writes an article every week, and it's a little something exclusive for the people.
That's right.
We also have special shout-outs. It gives you a little recap of things you may have missed. We have a top 5 movies based in Cleveland this week that we're going to discuss in overtime today. It's Steve Becker's top 5 that we're going to debate in overtime. And our member of the week, I want to give a special shout-out to Adam Majette for being our Coaches Team member of the week. If you subscribe to the UCSS newsletter, you can get all that information and more in your inbox every Monday at 9 a.m.
Now, next week in the newsletter, there's going to be the top 5 stupidest topics that Mike has picked for the show. And this next topic is going to be on that list.
I disagree, Bull. The Cavs finally made a signing. Whether you like it or not, it took.
Does this count as a signing?
It does. Oh, absolutely.
Jason says it doesn't.
It does. Because you know why? It's not someone who is currently on the team. The Cavs went outside of the roster, went outside of the country. They went to South Sudan to bring over JT Thor on a 2-way contract. Thor, probably a guy you never heard of. So I'll give you the quick bio on JT Thor.
Oh, very excited.
Played at Auburn.
Is he the god of thunder?
If he dunks, he may. I'm sure one of the broadcasters in Cleveland will make that joke if he gets a dunk. He played on the South Sudan Olympic team.
Yeah.
Played pretty well. South Sudan had an impressive performance and showing, considering their status in the world. He was on Charlotte last year. What?
You're very insulting to South Sudan there.
They were the lowest ranked FIBA team in the Olympic pool.
Okay, fair enough.
And they had a great showing.
They played, didn't we only beat them by like 1 point?
In an exhibition game, then we beat them by more in the actual tournament. But they were by far the lowest FIBA ranked team in the Olympic pool.
All right.
He was on Charlotte last year, and in the last game of the season, the game the Cavs tanked so they could face Orlando, JT Thor was part of the 5-man rotation for Charlotte that led the massive comeback in the fourth quarter. He had 21 points in that game. Jason, it's a 2-way contract for Thor. He joins Amani Bates and Luke Travers as the Cavs' 2-way players. If you had to bet on one of these guys to be a hit, who you betting on to be a hit this year, Jason? Travers or Amani Bates?
You gonna make it?
I think so.
just happened?
The question is, which of the Cavs' 3 two-way players has the best chance of making it? Who you betting on, Jason? You got to lay that house money.
You got a quarter?
Yeah.
I can flip.
Imani Bates, JT Thor. Oh, Luke Travers isn't even officially a two-way player.
No, he's not yet. He probably will be, but he's not yet.
We couldn't get a better picture of JT Thor than this? What kind of picture is that?
Not a ton of pictures of him playing on USA Today. So.
Oh, my God.
Well, here's what I'm going to give you guys.
I was looking up Luke Travers' age real quick because I didn't know how old he was. He's 22.
Go ahead, Mike.
It helps to have connections all over the basketball world, right?
Yeah.
One of my boys is the director of basketball operations at Auburn.
Okay.
So I hit him up. I said, Burgo, we're talking JT Thor on the show tomorrow. Give me something on JT Thor.
Did he laugh?
No, it's his guy. But I'm going to read you the exact scout. My guy Burgo sent me the scouting report from a guy who coached him for a year at Auburn. Great kid. Can go left, likes to go left when he drives. It has a nice stroke. He's a long, versatile defender that can make some plays on that end of the court and can block shots. Way more athletic than he gets credit for, and he's considered pretty athletic, but he always surprised us with some of the things he could do athletically. Played his senior year of high school in Atlanta, but he spent some time growing up in Nebraska and Alaska. So there's your JT Thor scouting report.
Nebraska and Alaska. All right, the big JT Thor. You excited about JT Thor?
No.
Had you ever heard of him before this week?
Yeah, just from the Olympics, but I'm not going to tell you I'm an expert.
Had you heard of him before the Olympics?
No, I don't think I had. Mike, had you heard of him? I don't think I'd heard of him.
Yeah, because he played at Auburn, and I follow Auburn because my buddy
because of your guy.
How
tall is he? How tall is Thor?
He's 6'10", long, athletic. He gives them a little.
I mean, if you're going to make me answer this question, I'll say him.
Listen, he's a giant project.
Yeah.
He is a giant project. But from a physical standpoint, he gives them something they don't really have, which is a big athletic.
Size, yeah.
Yeah, size and athleticism with size, who, theoretically speaking, can shoot. Hasn't proven it yet, but theoretically.
How much has he played in the NBA?
Not a ton, but hold on.
And how old is he?
21.
Okay, so he's a youngin'.
Yeah, super young. He listed at 6'10", 210. He's played 165 NBA games.
All right. And what's his career shooting percentage?
Career shooting percentage?
Yeah.
32% from three, 42% from the floor. Averages 3.2 points for his career on Charlotte.
Why'd Charlotte let him go?
Gun to my head, if Mike's going to make me pick one of these guys, I would take Thor just because of his size. I think Imani Bates is still at least a year away, minimum, to have any sort of realistic chance at an NBA career.
Yeah.
Luke Travers, we just haven't seen. It's hard to pick a guy you just haven't. He's never played an NBA game. He's been in Australia.
Yeah. It is interesting, Jason. I don't know if you saw, but Gershon Yabusele signed with the Sixers on a 1 year, $2 million contract. That was the guy in France.
Yeah, we were talking about him.
On LeBron. We talked about him as a possibility.
Yeah.
For essentially the same amount of money. I don't know what Thor's exact financial part of a two-way contract is, but for $2 million, that's literally nothing. They seem to have their choice between Yabusele and Thor. They went Thor over Gershon, who Kenny Atkinson coached, which means, at least to me, they saw something in Thor that they liked a lot.
Yeah.
Mike, percentage chance Thor becomes a legitimate part of the Cavs bench in the next 2 years?
It's probably going to be higher than I think you would expect me to say. I'll say 25%.
I was going to say about 15%.
And
the reason?
And percentage chance, hold on before you give me the reason. Percentage chance that Imani Bates does it in the next 2 years?
15.
Okay.
20, 15, 20.
All right.
The reason I say Thor has a higher percentage chance, they have no depth in the front court. Literally none. They're two backup bigs right now.
Mike and I talked about that on the podcast.
Dean Wade and George Niang. Dean Wade can't stay healthy. If you get anything from George Niang or you get nothing from George Niang, it's a complete toss-up. We have no idea. So Thor, theoretically speaking, has a much easier path to being a contributor.
Who was the big man they signed last year who just never played all year? Didn't they sign a free agent? Or
Damian Jones.
Is that who it was?
The backup center?
Yeah.
He was on the team last year.
He played a little bit. They drafted Khalifa Diop.
I must be thinking. Maybe it wasn't a center.
Tristan
I don't
Thompson.
know. Who was the guy that Earl thought was going to be a good free agent signing who didn't play all year?
Ty Jerome.
He's a guard, though,
He's
right?
a guard.
Yeah.
He's a guard. He didn't play at
There
all.
was another guy. What happened? Is Ty Jerome still on the team?
He may have had his foot amputated for all we know.
That's one of the. He was not even on the bench ever, Jason.
Yeah, I
last
know.
year. All the games we went to, you would see the
What
G League
happened?
guys coming up there. The injured guys sit with him on the bench. He wasn't around.
Did anybody even
at
ask
all.
where he was?
I didn't. I'm not around him that much.
Why didn't any of the beat reporters ever ask where he was?
Well, they
I'm
ruled
sure
him
they
out,
did, but-
So yeah, they could have done it when I just wasn't around.
That's weird.
Yeah, it was very strange.
All right.
The whole thing was very strange.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you about the addition of JT Thor?
-2.5.
Mike?
I'll give it a 2.
Really?
I'll give it a 2. Hey, he's got a great nickname. His nickname on Pro Basketball Reference Bowl, as you alluded to earlier, the God of Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited.
I mean, guy looks put together pretty well.
He's a big dude. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. He has the physical tools to be a.
Hey, the Cavs have done a nice job of finding guys on the margins and developing them into useful pieces. Maybe this is the next one, but I can't sit here on August 19th and tell you I'm excited about this.
How could you be?
Yeah, I mean,
Somebody
it's not the splash move a lot of Cavs fans were
No.
hoping for this summer.
No, so the Cavs are not going to sign anybody, right? I mean, this guy's a two-way contract. They're not signing any player to an NBA contract. Is that fair?
I mean, they got to figure out the Okoro thing. They still have to.
Yeah, what is happening with that? Like, what is the status of that? It's been months now.
I'll let Jason take the lead on that.
What is happening?
Well, a lot of times when you get to this point and there's still not something done, I've used 2 examples of Cavs in recent past. A lot of times it winds up in trade. We saw it with Colin Sexton on his way out when they didn't come to terms.
Yeah.
And he was part of the Donovan trade, and we saw it with Lowry Markkanen coming in. Those were late August, early September type moves. They couldn't come to terms with their current team as a restricted free agent, and so they moved on. That very well could be the case here. I think Isaac's best path is to take the qualifying offer. Just take the qualifying offer, come back for one more year, and then go into unrestricted free agency next summer.
Would you like the Cavs to trade him? Is there somebody they could trade him
I
for
don't know
that's
what the
interesting?
market. I don't know.
Is it
what the
Dorian
market-
Finney-Smith that we talked about last week?
I don't know what the market is for Okoro.
Yeah.
Like it's
No, he can't have much value.
No, Mike and I talked about it.
Yeah.
I really thought he was setting himself up for a big payday if he had a good postseason run. He did not,
Yeah.
and now this is the position that he finds himself in. There's not a lot of teams out there that's a good fit for him, so this has to be resolved. I think, what is it, August 19th that we say it was?
Yeah.
I would think that we'll have resolution to this within the next couple of weeks, and that's not based on anything other than the calendar and history as an indicator of usually late August, early September. Is when these things sort of get sorted out before teams get to camp at the end of September.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go. I mean, yeah, it looks like the Okoro thing's will be settled in the next couple of weeks. We'll wait to see if that turns into a trade. But if it doesn't, if he just comes back, then the Cavs will have basically the exact same roster.
I mean, they're telling you that they felt like the coach is what
they're blaming the
issue
coach
is.
100%.
Yeah,
100%.
And we talked before in the show. I mentioned a couple weeks ago, and I wrote about it, about how I do think that the tax is a real thing, and trying to stay out of the tax one more year, starting that clock next season. If they can stay out of the tax this year, that would be really big for them.
Yeah.
In terms of repeat offender, and you're worried about things 4 years out from now, but it's still, like, they very much clearly believe that this core can keep this team together
Right.
for the foreseeable future. And even if they make a Jared Allen trade down the road or whatever, but they're going to keep this thing together for now. And they feel like they have a long runway that they can be a team to contend for the next several years.
Hey, the Celtics were patient.
Yeah.
Again,
Their top-end talent was better than I think this team's top-end talent.
For sure.
But there's something to be said for staying patient to who you are and letting this thing, letting them develop, letting them grow together, and taking your chances.
Isn't it really just Donovan Mitchell's right up there with those guys, isn't he?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the second player that's the problem.
Yeah, and Donovan's not big. Those guys are both big.
That's true.
That's
fair,
they're
but
long and athletic. This team is not.
As negative as I've been about this team at times, and as much as I screamed and yelled as much as anybody about making trades, I am curious to see if this team stays healthy with this coach, what they could look like. I'm curious. I'm curious. So I'm actually, last year I was like, I'm not watching the regular season, and I'm not saying I'm going to be locked in every game because it's regular season NBA. But anytime they play a good team, I'm going to be interested at least. So we'll see. All right, Mike, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see how this season unfolds and
Yeah.
what this new offense looks like and how some of these guys fit into a new offensive scheme, system, and philosophy. See who excels, who can excel in their new role, and who kind of falls to the wayside. I want to go back to where we started the show on the left tackle, and you can end the clip is over.
Yeah.
Our guy, Darren Smith out of Kansas City. We love Darren. Texted me this, and he said the Browns need to bring in Donovan Smith at left tackle. And he was on the list of guys that we mentioned. I forgot he was the starting left tackle for the Chiefs last year.
So why is he a free agent?
He was on a one-year deal, according to Darren. I asked him, why didn't he get brought back? He was on a one-year deal.
Well, why hasn't anybody brought him in?
I don't know, but I don't believe he was hurt. He played in the Super Bowl, won a Super Bowl last year.
Yeah.
He's older, don't get me wrong. According to Wikipedia, he is he's 32 years old.
That's not old.
Not that old.
Lineman.
Played in 9 games last year. He's won 2 Super Bowls in his career, played all 17 games in 21, 13 games in 22, according to Pro Football Reference.
He's a startable player. Obviously, they don't love him because they let him walk.
Bless you.
Makes sense. Thank you. That makes sense. I mean, Darren knows the guy well, obviously. Darren styling and profiling at that Chiefs town hall there.
So I think Donovan Smith might be the best bet for the Browns at that left tackle position. And one other note here before we wrap up the show: the Associated Press All-American teams for college football have come out, Bull. And the Ohio State Buckeyes.
How many guys?
Led the nation with 4 players on the AP All-American first team.
How many players on the first team? Is it 11 and 11?
It's 12 because they get an all-purpose player.
Okay, so it's 24 guys total.
24 guys in total.
And 4 of the 24, so 1/6 of the players are on Ohio State. Does anybody else have more than 2?
Georgia, Alabama, and Michigan.
All have what?
Just from my quick glance, I'm looking at this.
So basically the whole team is Georgia, Alabama, Michigan, and Ohio State.
You want me to read you the first team offense real quick?
I probably couldn't name one guy on there.
That'll be a fun game because we have 14 minutes to kill and no super chats.
You pay attention to college football?
A little bit. Okay. Not a ton. A little bit.
Quarterback, first team, Carson Beck. Do you know where he plays?
Michigan.
No. Georgia.
Okay.
Running backs, Ollie Gordon.
Oh, he's in Michigan.
Oklahoma State.
Did you know either of those?
No.
Okay.
Omarion Hampton.
Oh, that guy, he played at Alabama.
UNC. Your offensive tackles, Will Campbell.
Ohio State.
LSU. Kelvin Banks.
South Kentucky.
Texas. Guards, Jonathan Jackson.
That's Ohio State.
He is.
Yeah.
And Tate Ratledge.
Washington.
Georgia. Your center, Parker Brailsford.
That's a white guy. That's a white guy name. Only white people are stupid enough to call their kid Parker. I'm just kidding.
Hey,
it's a perfectly fine
friend.
name. I'm
Just
kidding.
got a
I'm
friend
kidding.
named
I'm
Parker.
kidding. Parker, Iowa.
Alabama. Tight end, Colston Loveland.
Oh, he plays at LSU.
Michigan. Your wide receivers, Luther Burden.
Alabama.
Missouri.
Missouri.
Emeka Ibuka.
Ohio State.
Nice. And then I can't pronounce his name. Tedoria McMillan.
I mean, you're just making that name up.
No, he's a real.
Georgia.
Arizona. And then Travis Hunter's their all-purpose first-team player.
Okay. So I knew the Ohio State players at least.
Defense. Let's see if you can pick out the defense.
I don't know any of them. Go ahead. All right. You want me to see if I can pick out the Ohio State players at least? Go
I'm
ahead.
just going to name the names. You tell me when to stop for Ohio State.
Okay.
James Pierce. Ashton Gillette. Mason Graham. Howard Cross. Harold Perkins Jr. Jay Higgins. Barrett Carter. Will Johnson. Denzel Burke. Malachi Starks. Caleb Downs. And Xavier Watts.
Burke and Starks, the Ohio State guys?
Burke and Downs.
Oh, Downs. Okay. All right. I got 3 out of 4 in Ohio State.
And then on the second team, Travion Henderson from Ohio State made it. Tyleek Williams from Ohio State made it. So they had 4 on the first team, 2 on the second team.
Yeah.
For 6 in total, which is the most of any team.
All right.
Or
Well, they better go win a championship with their 6 All-Americans and their rosy-cheeked coach who never wins in a big spot. We've done enough whining about Michigan's cheating. We know they cheated. We're making excuses now. They better win, right? Is it a championship or bust this year?
They paid a lot of money for this roster.
They better beat Michigan.
Better beat Michigan.
First of all, before they get to that, they better beat Michigan.
Michigan can't get away with cheating again this year, can they?
I mean, why not?
I guess they could. Are we supposed to believe no other teams have done stuff like that?
Of course they have. They just didn't get caught.
Yeah. How do you get caught? So dumb.
We have Ohio State's new athletic director, Ross Bjork, on the show on Thursday.
Okay.
My friend, my guy.
Right. Should we ask him?
How do you know him? Was he A&M, right?
He was the A&M AD when I was there.
Should we ask him if Ryan Day's on the hot seat?
He's a great interview. So
is he?
He's a very, very good.
All right, cool.
When's he
that's
on?
Good. Thursday.
I'm in like all week this week.
A tough life you got. You actually
J's
have to work.
off, G's off. Earl. I got an update from Earl, by the way.
What's up with Earl?
Anyone who was wondering why we have two people, Earl was supposed to be on the panel today.
He had a little bit, yeah.
He came in and told me and Ant he wasn't feeling great. He had something on his back. I think it's a bug bite. So we said, Earl, go to urgent care.
So what'd they say? Is he
it
all
was
right?
Definitely infected.
Oh,
And they gave him antibiotics. He has to start immediately. And he's very glad he came in because it said it could have got worse and very bad if he did not go see a doctor.
Well, good for you guys for pushing him to do it.
What was it a bug bite? What was it? Did they say what it was?
He didn't tell me in the little update. It looked like a bug bite.
So can he work or no?
Yeah, he should be back in tomorrow.
All right.
He got cleared to work tomorrow according to the doctor note he sent me.
Yeah.
But we'll see how he's feeling.
Yeah.
We do have a super chat now. Our guy Halim sent us in a super chat. Halim says, in regards to the MLB rule proposal, the injury issues are already huge. Forcing pitchers to go 6 innings is crazy. Saving their arms is more important than ever. This is tone deaf by the league.
I don't think this is going to happen. They're kind of throwing stuff out there to see what sticks. I don't think it makes any sense. By the way, I just found out so we're playing our fall ball league games got rained out yesterday.
Yeah.
That's the only super chat?
That is the only super chat.
So we're making up a game. My 12, 13-year-old team, or my 6th, 7th grade team, which Aaron is on. He's here today. Plays tonight. We got a makeup game, and then my 4th, 5th grade team plays tomorrow. But I just found out one of my kids on tonight's game has COVID. So hopefully, well, the good thing is he hasn't been around the team. Although he was around the team, Ben, who's also a good friend of Aaron.
HIPAA.
Oh yeah, well I didn't say his last name, but anyway, we wish him the best, him and his family, and I hope we didn't give it to him because we had COVID a couple of weeks ago, and Aaron hangs out with Ben, so hopefully we didn't give him the COVID, But back to action tonight. My teams are my younger team is 3-1. My older team is 2-2.
We have not even. I don't even know if we're having a fall ball league. Like we haven't even heard anything yet.
You should. Well, you two. I was going to say you should get in ours next year, but too old.
14.
Although we're going to be. He's going into what grade this year?
8th.
We may be adding an 8th, 9th grade division next year, so he could play in that. If we do it, I'll let you know. It's a good league. This fall ball is actually really good because. First of all, there are kids from other towns. There's some kid who we were supposed to play against him last week, but he wasn't there. Who lives in Hudson, who apparently plays on like 6 different teams.
Yeah.
And he wanted to join this league. We got some kids from Lakewood. We got a couple kids from Avon, Westlake.
All right.
You don't have for Little League. You have to either live or go to school in Rocky River. Right. But for our fall ball, it's open. You just have to. Yeah.
I hate to cut you off real quick, but Mary Kay just tweeted some Browns updates.
Fine, that's more important.
Browns have signed
linebacker
Brandon Boyer-Randall.
We don't care about that.
And tackle Chim Okafor. They have placed on injured reserve.
Chimney. Go ahead.
They placed Akeem Adeniji on reserve/injured. Yep. And Jason, I'm very sorry to break this news to you. They have waived Matt Landers.
Oh! Why do you care about Matt Landers?
That was my preseason pick to have a big camp.
Oh.
Because I knew it was going to be one of the receivers, and I picked the wrong one because Jamari Thrash has actually flashed a little bit.
He has.
And I thought Landers was my guy.
Here's what I don't understand, and maybe he'll be fine. Where is this offensive lineman they signed? Where has he played in the NFL?
if I'm looking at the right guy, this is Chuck Okafor. I need Chim Okafor.
What I don't understand is, Jason, we gave the list of 5 veteran players at offensive line tackle who have played in the league, who have been good players in the league.
Yeah.
Why you sign a guy? You were like, well, there's a reason none of these guys were in camp. Well, this guy wasn't in camp either, I don't think.
I think he was with them before, actually.
Like this year?
Yeah, I think.
He was in the Vikings last year.
Yeah.
I know that name.
But where's he been?
Research.
If he wasn't with another team, why would you sign a guy who's a nobody?
Jason, the guy you're thinking of
is
Chukwuma Okafor, who played for the Steelers.
Oh, my God.
But I think this is a Chim Okafor.
I don't know.
I think that other guy went by Chucky. No, it sounds like I'm being a goof, but I actually think that's true. All right, so they've signed some Mike, I don't think this guy's played in the league. Why wouldn't they sign? If you're bringing in a guy off the street, why not bring in a guy who's done something in the NFL?
I'm with you. There's got to be a reason why.
What are they seeing in Chim Okafor? You can't even find the. Mike can't even find the guy on the internet.
Okay, I found him. You know why you heard his name before, Jason?
Huh?
They signed him on July 24th and cut him a week later.
Well, see,
Chim
they buyer's remorse.
6'6", 320 pounds, officially in his first NFL season out of Benedictine. He originally signed with Philadelphia as an undrafted free agent in 2023. He also spent time with Minnesota during his rookie season.
So again, this guy's basically been on the street too. I know he was here for a week.
He's a nobody. He's never.
But he hasn't been like again. You have, maybe none of those veterans wanted to sign, or this guy you're paying the league minimum to.
Wait.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hold on. Chim Okafor played for the Michigan Stallions.
Oh, Mike.
In the Michigan Panthers, in the UFL. So he did just play a little bit of football.
But that was a while ago.
When did the UFL season end?
Who pays attention to that?
I don't know. I'm just telling you, I'm trying to give you a little information on this guy.
All right. Well, I appreciate the information. I just don't understand why they wouldn't sign a guy with some track record in the league. If you sign a guy who's not playing, Jason brought up the point, well, these free agents, they're not playing. Okay, and I know this guy's played in the UFL more recently than any of those guys, but I'd rather go sign any of those 5 guys versus...
I'm with you. There's got to be either they don't want to come yet, they don't want to come into camp yet.
Pause.
I knew you were going to do that to me. Or they're hurt, they're not physically ready. I still think their best route, if they need reinforcements, is going to be somebody else's cut, which is not a great situation to be in.
Oh, boy.
To end the show, we got a minute left.
Yeah.
Jason, we got 2 tweets today asking where you got that shirt. You want to tell the people where they can get a shirt like that?
My wife made it because she's like, this is what she's doing now, is making these shirts. And she actually threw this on my desk the morning of the Mike Hall stuff. And I'm like, I can't wear this shirt when we're going to be talking about a very serious topic. So I'll wait and wear it next week.
Yeah.
But I'll probably get it. I can find a link of where she's
It's a good one.
It's funny, right?
Yeah.
She's very creative.
It's appropriate in connection with my recent pause for you.
She's pretty creative with some of the stuff. So yeah, she's
just kind of making up these quotes,
just kind of
or whatever,
throwing it together. She opened a store recently.
Yeah,
and
where is it if people want to go?
It's in Avon Lake. Okay. It's Studio Da Vinci. It's on Route 83.
Sounds fancy.
In Avon Lake. It's just a little. It's a creative space.
She's selling these shirts.
I think she's planning on it. Yeah, she's going to sell these, and there was another one that. I'm going to get yelled at now. There's another one that
I know I'm putting on too much pressure on you to know. No,
there was another one that she wanted to sell that I've worn before. Oh, the ADHD. I've worn the ADHD. She came up with that one too. So she's going to start selling.
We'll have to get you that shirt there.
Yeah. ADHD, attention deficit. Hey, look, a squirrel. I think that's what it is. It's pretty good.
By the way, real quick little note here. There's a new show on Apple TV called Bad Monkey, starring Vince Vaughn.
I love Vince Vaughn.
Watch the show.
We don't have Apple TV. I refuse to pay for another subscription.
You got to pay for it. Apple TV, percentage-wise, has the best content, without a doubt. There's so many good shows.
Well, then something else has to go.
Get rid of something else. Get rid of Hulu.
We don't have Hulu.
I'm telling you, if you like Vince Vaughn,
I love Vince Vaughn.
I've watched the first 2 episodes.
He just got a star.
Really funny.
He got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah. I tweeted out this pic because somebody said, "Look at Mel Gibson. It does." And it looked exactly like Mel Gibson.
He looks like an older Mel Gibson.
All right, what do we got on overtime, Mike?
Steve Becker's top 5 movies that took place in Cleveland.
Okay, that's coming up on overtime. See you there.